Mic test, mic test. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Bison stream! I hope we're all having a wonderful Friday today. I apologize, didn't mean to leave the starting soon thing on so long, had to take care of some other things while it was going on. So, today we are going to be playing some more Trails in the Sky the Third, doing some more of the doors, and yeah, I think that's the plan for the stream. Hopefully we'll be able to get through quite a few of the doors, just because we're doing generally the shorter ones this time instead of the long ones. So hopefully we'll be able to get through them, and maybe next time we stream we'll get back to main plot. But between last stream and this one, I did go out and grind to over 400 victories, so I can do the 400 victory door, which I did check to make sure I could open it, and yeah, I can. So the door we're in front of right now is, I believe, Star Door 8, yes. Bring to me the Playful Minstrel and his closest ally against the beast they seek to overcome. So that is Playful Minstrel, Olivier, and his closest ally, I hope everyone is having a wonderful day today. I hope we're all ready for a good, well-deserved weekend. Because I was definitely looking forward to it this week. Felt like it dragged on for a while. And today was particularly boring because I was the only one in my office. So it was pretty lonely today. But that let me goof off a lot. So yay. It's always good when you don't have to work, because no one comes up and checks on me anyway. So I'm on like the second floor, so there's no one there. I should grant you a memory fragment and my blessing. Okay. But it is a bit warm in my room. I might be turning on the AC at some point during the stream and hopefully cooling it off, but right now I just have my fan going. 1 month after the collapse of the Liber Arc, the banquet to celebrate the crisis's successful resolution was over, with Estelle and her friends having largely left the capital to go elsewhere. One of them, however, Prince Oliver de Arno, sat rather comfortably in the ambassador's office in Grand Cell's Erebonian embassy, his work in the country not quite settled. I can't believe that you... I mean, my deepest apologies for not noticing that you were His Highness Prince Oliver sooner. Oh, I'm not surprised you never realized. I may be a prince, but my mother was a commoner. What point is there in bothering to remember my face? It's not as though I often showed myself in the palace or attended high society gatherings. Knowing me certainly isn't going to help you in moving up the ranks, my friend. There's no need to be so humble, Your Highness. Besides, I'm actually rather grateful to you, Ambassador. You gave me all kinds of useful advice during my stay here at the embassy that I'm sure will be to my benefit in the future. Well-meant words such as, act like a man of the Empire for once in your life, and stop idling here, go home and try doing some damned work. Your Highness, I was only... Your Highness, I think you've tormented him enough for one day. The ambassador behaved in the same way any other sane man would in his position. If anything, I'd say he has every right to be angry at us for keeping the truth from him for so long. But, Mueller... I suppose you're right. I'll spare him any more teasing for now. I actually wasn't joking about being grateful to you, though. You truly have done admirable work over the past month. I have? Acting as a pipeline with the Empire, checking the safety of Erebonians residing in Liberal, helping the international line of service to resume. And those are only the tip of the iceberg. You've done so much more. You have my deepest thanks as a prince of the Empire. I am not worthy of such praise, Your Highness. You, however, deserve the utmost for braving the danger you did flying up to the Liber Arc. All of what happened seemed to have caused quite the commotion in our homeland. So the people seem to be rather relieved now that they know the danger is past. It's all thanks to your courage that they're able to rest easy. Oh, there's no point in flattering me, Ambassador. I just did what I could, nothing more, nothing less. And I couldn't have done anything alone. All I was able to accomplish was thanks to the help of those around me. I'm fairly removed from the stereotype of Erebonians as stern and strong and self-sufficient, if I do say so myself. As rude as it may be to agree, perhaps you're correct. And yet I believe your willingness to be flexible most definitely helped rather than hindered you here. I believe people like you are exactly what the Empire is going to need in the future, regardless of how I may feel about His Excellency the Chancellor's approach. Ambassador. Well, this is a surprise. I was under the impression that you supported the Chancellor. Then again, you are a noble. Does that lead you to oppose his reformist policies, perhaps? I may be a noble on paper, but I'm only a baron. All in all, I generally fall in favor of his reformist policies. Be that as it may, while this may be just the result of being illiberal for so long and being influenced by the ways of its people, I do sometimes find myself becoming frightened by his hardline approach. I can't help but wonder exactly what direction he's trying to take our old nation. Interesting. Your Highness? I was just thinking that I'm quite glad to have taken the chance to engage in such a fruitful talk with you just before departing the country. I pray you will continue doing all you can to ensure the peace of Liberal and its surrounding nations while I'm gone. Preferably in cooperation with Ambassador Cochrane. Yes, let's not forget her, I suppose. Still, it's true that since the non-aggression pact was signed, there has been some progress with regards to the crossbow problem. And given that it was Liberal who proposed said pact, that makes my role in future negotiations very important indeed. I presume that is what you were trying to say. You're a sharp one, my good man. Excellent! Now I can return to the capital with my mind at ease. Leave everything to me, Your Highness. I will be looking forward to hearing what you achieve back in our homeland. Okay, so talking about, him going back finally, and, how he's not like other Erebonian men. Who'd have thought? This truly is a country like no other. I never thought the day would come when I would hear things like that from a noble of the Empire. Indeed. He's apparently someone less of an obstinate man than I thought he was. Perhaps this nation's very air has the power to genuinely change people. It seems to have had effect on you, too. I feel like I'm seeing a lot more smiles from you these days than I used to. I'm loath to admit it, but that may well be true. I still find myself wishing that you would learn from the Liberalians' dignity and sense of restraint, however. Two qualities you don't particularly possess in any measure. In fact, you have far too much of their opposites. You say that, but these qualities are the only weapon that I have. I don't have much that will allow me to compete against the Chancellor. I need to use what little happens to be tucked in my corner as best I can. Have there been any changes to our plans? None. We should be able to proceed as arranged. 3 days ago, the Chancellor left the capital on a tour of Eastern Erebonia. Tomorrow, you will be returning there aboard the Arsail while he's still out in the east. All those who need to be aware of our return have been given proper notice. Your arrival in Erebonia will make a real impact. Of that I am certain. What potential obstructions to the plan are there at present? Nothing major. There have been some movements in the Intelligence Division's 4th subdivision, but not much. There's a chance that everyone is being cautious because the Arsail is involved. But I put greater odds on the idea that everyone's just treating this as a pompous performance by you and not taking it seriously. Well, they'd be right too. It is. I have no choice but to start here, even if this means I have to use Liberal. And if I'm going to put on a show, why not put on the finest one the skies have ever seen? I suppose I can't argue that. I'm sorry to trouble you at this late hour, Your Highness. A message has arrived from you from Heimdall. What would you have me do? Really? All right, come in. Pardon me. Well, if it isn't Lecter! I was wondering where you'd been. I haven't seen you all day. I've been exceptionally busy with work since this morning, I'm afraid. I'd hoped to be able to come and see you earlier since you'll be leaving tomorrow. I'm terribly sorry for not being able to. Secretary Lecter. Okay, so he left the school and seemingly became a secretary. I wonder if this is where his work stops. Oh, never mind that. If that work of yours is done now, we three could always enjoy some sensual quality time together for the remainder of the night. So what was the message from the capital, Secretary? They've acknowledged receipt of His Highness's message. However, they didn't anticipate that you may be able to arrive all the way from Grand Cell in less than half a day. As such, they're currently in a minor panic trying to ensure everything's ready for the ceremony tomorrow. That doesn't come as a surprise. There's nothing like the Arsail when it comes to speed at home. How cruel you both are for so deftly ignoring my proposal! Although it sounds as though the stage will be set in time. Now I need to decide on an outfit that will leave everyone's jaws on the floor to sweeten my arrival. Perhaps a glistening cloak and white loincloth will do the trick. That'd make a grand impact, alright? I almost wish I could go along and see him myself. Please don't encourage him. You show remarkable promise for someone so young. What do you say to coming back on the Arsail with me? I'd welcome your company. Your work here in Liberal is just about done as it is, isn't it? Your offer's certainly tempting, but I'm afraid I have another job to take care of soon. The thought is appreciated, of course. Really? Well, that is a shame. Good luck with that next job of yours. Thank you. Well, if you'll excuse me. So, that's second Secretary Elector Arndel. Is it safe to assume he's one of the Chancellors? Almost definitely, yes. He came through Hawking Gate on foot and took up his new position at the embassy a month ago. And right around the same time we head to the Librarch aboard the Arsail at that. There's no way that could possibly be coincidence. No, it couldn't. The most likely possibility seems to be that he's part of the intelligence division. Are you sure you're not doing anything regarding him all this time was a good idea? Oh, absolutely! We needed some way to find out what the Chancellor was up to, after all. We'll probably get some kind of reaction from the Chancellor through his reports at some point. Probably in about 2 weeks when the Chancellor's tour is finished. You'd planned that far ahead all along, had you? Well, in that case, I'll be sure that we're ready. I'll be counting on you, love. Oh. Something the matter? Not really. It's just that the moon has come out. And what a beautiful full moon it is. Look at that PNG. If even. Strange to think that this will be the last time we'll see the moon from here. Truth be told, I'm going to miss it. Well, it's like putting a smile on your face a little more often isn't the only thing Liberal's done for you. It's opened up your eyes to life's natural beauty as well. But in all seriousness, we'll just have to do all we can to be able to come back and see it again one day. While we're both still alive. Indeed. See, I feel like that line would strike a lot harder at CS3 pre-CS4. The next morning. Yeah. Your Majesty, Your Highness, I humbly thank you both for your generous hospitality during my stay in your fine kingdom. You were even gracious enough to humor my brazen request of escorting me back to Heimdall aboard the Arsail. This debt I owe you will be repaid many times over in the future. Rest assured of that. Oh, you needn't think of this as anything we went out of our way for. Escorting an honored state guest back home is a matter of course, particularly a guest to whom we owe a great debt of gratitude. If you ever have the opportunity, please do come back to Liberal again in the future. I imagine Estelle and Joshua will be back by then too, so we'll be able to give you a nice warm welcome. I'm already excited for my next visit. Have they left the country yet, by the way? You're busy getting ready to leave over in Roland at the moment, I believe. Excuse me, I just want to drop down a little bit. My legs are falling asleep, so I don't want them at an angle a bit longer. I'm planning to see them off when the time comes. I see. Incidentally, while the ruins of Hamel are currently sealed off, I'll do what I can on my end to ensure they are allowed inside. Could I trouble you to pass that along to them? Certainly. Thank you very much, Your Highness. Oh, think nothing of it. It's the least I could do after all they've done for me. See, I feel like I have to throw, like, hand flares whenever I talk as Olivier. Just like, yes, indeed. Throw out them hand flares. Oh, there's nothing better than itching your head sometimes. I owe a great deal too, Cassius. If not for your assistance, stopping that armored division from crossing into Liberal wouldn't have been as simple as it was. I could say the same to you. Still, as I'm sure you're aware, that outcome will have been well within the realm of possibility for the Chancellor. I doubt he was even surprised by the incident. Really? Most likely not. Erebonia had nothing at all to gain from using that situation to occupy Liberal. Certainly not to the extent that it would be worth going out of their way to develop inefficient steam tanks. The only reason I can see him doing what he did was a show of power to surrounding nations. A statement that even without orbital power, Erebonia's army could still act. I indeed suspect that was his true aim all along. Goodness. So you did notice. The orbital shutdown phenomenon was a complete unknown to the rest of the continent. Perhaps it might never occur again, but there's always the chance it might, whether it's here or somewhere else entirely. Here, the Empire only built a relatively small number of those tanks and all, too. Certainly not enough to launch a full-scale invasion. By the sounds of it, they were just put together in Reinford's factories using parts intended for standard orbital tanks. But as it stands, the know-how to put together tanks like that only exists in the Empire. And in these unpredictable times, no other nation has the time or resources to try and develop extremely inefficient steam-powered weaponry. In a sense, because of what just happened, the Imperial Army's effect as a deterrent is even greater than ever. He's using war as a diplomatic tool, and very effectively at that. None of this had even occurred to me. I have a long way to go before I'm fit to be the ruler of this country. Don't beat yourself up too much about it. He's no ordinary foe to even the most hardened veterans. And the Chancellor always seems to be thinking several steps ahead of the rest of the world. It's impressive, no matter what we may think of his actual ideas. I'm quite the reckless fool to be trying to challenge him, if I do say so myself. Don't be silly, Your Highness. How can you say that with a smile on your face is utterly beyond me? You should focus on building yourself a strong foothold to begin with. I do hope you'll be careful. No matter what may occur, be sure not to lose sight of exactly where you stand. Of course, Your Majesty. If I were to go and bring shame upon myself now, I'd be wasting all the effort involved in escorting me back home. I'll be sure to take what you have said to heart. Excuse me, Your Majesty. Okay. Hilda? Whatever is the matter? It's not often I see you so flustered. My apologies, Your Majesty. It's just that a guest for yours had arrived all of a sudden at the castle. Ordinarily, I would not have rushed in while you were in meeting with others, but the visitor is so irregular that I thought you should know at once. Irregular? How so? It sounds like it's about time I take my leave, then. Actually, the visitor said he'd like to greet you as well, and not just Her Majesty. What? Hilda? Just who is this visitor? Well, he introduced himself as Chancellor Gileath Osborne of the Erebonian Empire. Sup? Was not expecting this. Did not even realize that he was in this game. Jeez. Oh god. He looks so much more angular in this game. It's an honor to be granted a personal audience. I am Gileath Osborne, representative of the Imperial Government. My apologies for the abrupt intrusion. So you are Chancellor Osborne. It's a pleasure to see you again as well, Your Highness. It's been a year since we last met, has it not? I hope these passing months have seen you well. Yes, a year sounds about right. Still, while I hope you'll forgive me for asking, just what did prompt someone of your stature to appear at the castle without warning? I'd very much like to hear your side of the story. My apologies, Your Highness. You see, these past few days I've been touring Eastern Erebonia on routine inspections. It's been going very smoothly, more so than I had initially anticipated. I had enough free time in my schedule to pay a cordial visit. Oh my, is that so? Naturally, I would have preferred to come here while the crisis was still unfolding, like you yourself did, Your Highness. Unfortunately, the confusion in southern Erebonia was simply too pressing a matter, and I had no choice but to deal with that first. This was the first chance that presented itself to come here and meet directly with Her Majesty, so I acted with utmost expediency. I hope you'll forgive my lack of proper decorum in failing to give advance notice of my arrival. That does make sense, at least. Regardless, please don't concern yourself with me. No doubt you wish to offer your greetings to Her Majesty. My thanks, Your Highness. Well then, allow me to extend my most heartfelt greetings to both of you, Queen Alicia and Princess Claudia. It's abundantly clear that the crisis that unfolded here has been quite the ordeal for yourselves and your nation's people. You have my deepest sympathies for the hardships you have endured, as well as my commendation for bringing the situation under control. I thank you for your kind words, Your Excellency. If anything, we should be apologizing to you for the fact that the southern side of your nation was caught up in what should have been our problem. We should be the ones going to you, rather than having you trouble yourself to come all the way to Liberal. I beg you to accept our apologies, together with my deepest thanks for coming here today. I would never ask for apologies. I've heard what happened was the work of a shadowy organization stirring up trouble within your borders. While I meant well by sending a military force to aid you, I wouldn't have done something so careless had I known the truth of the matter. My actions were rash, foolish even, and I was rightfully reprimanded by His Imperial Majesty for them. Oh my. Fortunately, His Highness the Prince was able to act with all due haste to put right my misstep before even greater harm was done. I owe you a great debt of gratitude for that, Your Highness. And congratulations besides, for your part in bringing an end to the crisis. Oh, I did nothing out of the ordinary. I had a lot of help from Her Majesty, Her Highness, and Brigadier General Bright here too. Bright, you say? It's a pleasure to meet you, Your Excellency. I am Cassius Bright, a Brigadier General in the Liberalian Royal Army. The pleasure is all mine, I assure you. Your name is rather well known even in the Empire. Not as much as yours is known here in Liberal, I would imagine. It's an honor to be able to speak with you in person. It's certainly a surprise to be able to, though. Coming here on a whim can't have been easy for a man as busy as yourself. It sounds as though I may have underestimated just how capable you truly are. Not at all. I was greatly impressed to see the Royal Army's effectiveness in dealing with the tumult here. Your forces have proven powerful yet flexible, capable of dealing with emergencies ably and decisively. I might go so far as to say it embodies an ideal that the Imperial Army, with its swollen ranks, could never hope to realize. You flatter us, Your Excellency. For your part, I hear you are responsible for the establishment of the Imperial Army's famed intelligence division. Our army is in desperate need of a new one of its own, so I find myself quite envious. It almost sounds as though the two of us each want what the other has. So it does. May I ask, Your Excellency, what will you be doing now? For my part, I'm intending to leave Liberal today, so I'm afraid I won't be around much longer. Yes, so I've been told. I believe you're intending to make your grand arrival in Heimdall aboard the famous Arsail. Yeah, I'm impressed you're already aware. I almost wish I could return to Erebonia on board it alongside you. But alas, I'm afraid I have other business demanding my attention after I'm finished here. I'll be leaving Liberal separately this afternoon. That is a shame. I would have very much liked to invite you to this evening's banquet. Please, you need not go to such troubles on my account. I feel as though I've put you out enough showing up unannounced as I did, to say nothing of dining with such esteemed company. Still, I do have some time before the airship I'll be leaving on is due to depart. That being the case, might I ask for a little of your time, Your Highness? I have a few things I'd like to discuss with you personally. I do like how this is written in such a good way that you can feel the tension. Right? Like, everything that is said is so well measured. Right? Where it's like, we are on a razor-thin diplomatic line, and we are saying everything perfectly. And we are giving the proper amount of, like, humbleness, but also, you know, not backing off too much. But also not pushing too hard. Like, it's very well written. Very well. I have some matters I would actually like to discuss personally with you as well. What a fortuitous coincidence. Allow me to have a room arranged for the two of you to have your discussion then. Hilda, if you would. Certainly, Your Majesty. God. I was not expecting Osborne in this game. We being real here. It's obvious that Her Majesty is quite the tea fancier. This blend is anything to go by. The fragrance, the temperature, the taste. I'd be hard-pressed to find fault with any of it. I've always been more of a coffee man myself, but I have no doubt that I'd be content with a cup of this at my desk each morning. As much as I agree with you, I don't believe we're here to talk about beverages. So, shall we get right to the point? What did you want to discuss with me? I see your sojourn in Liberal has proven most fruitful. Pardon? When we last spoke, you struck me as a bright, flexible young man, and no doubt you still are. But now I see in you a resilient inner strength girding those aspects. I'm sure His Majesty will be most delighted with your personal development. Meanwhile, I see you're the same fearless man I've always known you to be. More so even, that crushing aura about you seems to have only grown with time. It's as if you feed on the resentment of those who live in the territories you annex. Such harsh words, Your Highness. Personally, I prefer the term political unification. Annex can carry such negative connotations, you know. Since the end of the 100 Days' War, our army hasn't committed a single act of aggression. All our unifications have been entirely peaceful. Oh, you're quite right about that, on the surface. Oh? It's amazing how similar the annexation process is every single time it happens. It starts with a small nation, an independent state with an array of problems beyond repair. Those problems start to worsen, after which Jaegers and other dangerous elements enter, plunging public order to an all-time low. Desperate for a solution, the local government requests the help of the Imperial Army. Before they know it, they're part of the Empire. Well, it's not as though I can deny what you're saying. Each instance does share certain commonalities. Still, it's to be expected, an inevitable consequence of the age of unchecked growth and progress in which we live. The Imperial Army is simply acting in the Empire's best interests, helping to stabilize our neighbors for the good of the Empire. And it's understandable that they would. I do find myself rather curious why developed intelligence division members are going to such nations with such peculiar frequency. Well, before the problems I described worsen, no less. I won't press as to where you came by such information, as curious as I am. But I will say this. At its most basic level, these actions are about risk management. It's because we've been acting to minimize such risks beforehand that the army has been able to successfully quell each problem in turn. With the small price of earning the disdain of the people in those nations and an increased risk of terrorism in exchange. To tell you the truth, I'm rather astounded that you had the courage to come here to Liberal all on your own to begin with. After all, you've made yourself the biggest target for terrorists in all of Erebonia. Your concern is touching, Your Highness. I would ask that you not trouble yourself with my safety. I employ some very skilled subordinates tasked primarily with eliminating the risk of terrorist attacks against me. Really now? That Lecter is one of those, I assume? A rather peculiar fellow, isn't he? But a very useful one all the same. Working at the scheduling for this trip and taking all the necessary precautions to ward off terrorist threats were both his doing. And thanks to his commendable efforts, I can depart for Crossbell free from worries as soon as I've finished my business here. Crossbell? Are you surprised? I'll be participating in a top-secret discussion with a representative of the Crossbell government. Recently, a large amount of funding has been flowing into the country through Republican channels, putting our allies on the defensive. I'd always meant to visit at some point, and this seemed the perfect opportunity. Are you out of your mind? Crossbell's full of enemies and different factions at each other's throats. Here it's now even a hotbed for terrorists and criminal organizations because of its position as a buffer state. Does that really sound like a place the Erebonian Chancellor should be going even on an unofficial visit? I'm surprised to hear you advocating caution in the face of potential danger, Your Highness. After all, it was you who flew onto an ancient city, at great risk to your own safety, and returned unharmed after surveying it. Compared to such rousing risk-taking, my visit to Crossbow will be child's play. As I'm sure you're aware, you're regarded as something of a hero back in Erebonia now. To see a hero make a grand return befitting his newly minted legend. And aboard the famous Arsail, no less. Naturally, our hero has also taken the time to ensure that every well-known newspaper and magazine are aware of his homecoming too. Oh, I have no doubts that your triumphant arrival will be every bit as glorious as is played out in your imaginings, Your Highness. Do be sure to capitalize on this chance as best you can to build yourself a firm foothold. I expect great things from you, after all. So, Osborne, knowing essentially exactly what Olivier was planning, is planning, and will do. Ugh. All this talking, all these different voices, the rote. Oh yeah, tagged off the top of my lamp. Love it. Yeah, baby. I don't know what that was about. Cacao! Scree! Hey, buddy. You haven't changed a bit, huh? Scree. Scree. Really? Sounds like a ton's happened, huh? But it's nice to see you and your master are doing alright. Scree! Lecter? Well, good day to you, Your Highness. I pray I'm not causing any trouble by taking a tour of the castle like this. The view from the stairs certainly is beautiful, isn't it? What happened to you, Lecter? How'd you end up working for Chancellor Osborne? I'm sorry, I haven't the faintest idea what you mean. Are you perchance mistaking me for someone else? Your name is Lecter Arundel. You were the student council president at Janus Royal Academy, which you attended before leaving suddenly 2 years ago. So no, I'm not mistaking you for someone else. Ah, but that's where you're wrong, because my name is actually Lecterundel. I can certainly see how our names could become mixed, however. They are scarily close. Still, now you know. Please, just call me Lek. Don't try and joke around with me, Lecter. Do you have any idea how worried all of us were when you just disappeared without a word? You submitted your notice to leave the academy and then were never seen again. Even the otherwise calm Leo let out a cry of anger when he found out. All Lucy could do was give a sad smile and say, "This is just like him," the whole time with tears in her eyes. Jill and Hans were heartbroken, and so was I. Yet after all that, after all this time, you finally show yourself, knowing full well that I'm here, and this is how you act. By pretending you're someone else. Lecter! Sorry, no need for the scary glare. You're still taking things way too seriously. Looks like it'll take more than stepping up as Crown Princess to change that party, yeah? Oh. But you know, seeing you makes me feel kinda relieved. I always figured if someone like you became Crown Princess, you'd have virtually no freedom to do anything other than work. From all that's reached my ears, it sounds like you're actually doing alright for yourself. You even made some great new friends after I left the academy, didn't you? Nice! I sure did. Nonetheless, it's thanks to you that I was able to change it all. You were the one who gave me the first push in the right direction. I never got the chance to thank you properly after you left. But all this time, I've always been grateful to you. Well, consider me honored. Do I get a kiss in return? You do not. I may feel respect towards you, but nothing romantic. Ah, that's a bummer. There was me, all taken in by how pretty you'd become, wondering if this could be the start of something downright magical. What happens next instead? My dreams of romance and sweet smooches are crushed to nothing before they can even begin. I know you don't mean a word of that, you know. You're looking very sharp yourself, though. It's surprising to see. Every time I've seen you before today, it was in that heavily frayed uniform or in the most sloppy way imaginable. I think you'll find I was merely making a fashion statement. That wasn't laziness or slobbishness. Every part of it was carefully calculated and considered to have maximum effect. The scary thing is, I actually believe you. You always seemed as if you cared for nothing but having fun and causing trouble. Yet when it came down to it, you were wise beyond your years. And I've finally seen part of the reason behind that today. I'll ask you again, Lecter. How did you end up working for Chancellor Osborne like this? Just what happened to you between you submitting your notice to leave the academy and now? Well, I feel like he was probably working for Osborne prior, right? Because if I remember right, I think he was like contacted by Osborne pretty soon after his father was put on trial for the raid on Hamel, right? I think that was when, so that was probably before Jenna's. Do you now? I have to admit I never imagined that would be the case. On the contrary, I was expecting you to tell me to back off. Oh, Adios forbid. What reason would I have to suggest such a thing? After all, at the end of the day, our positions are functionally the same. I'm not sure I understand. Do you not think so? Personally, I find it difficult to believe that you would not harbor some hatred toward Ereboni as it is today. A grand empire clinging to the glories of a bygone era, ruled by the nobility and shackled by meaningless conventions. Am I wrong? People call me the Blood and Iron Chancellor, as though I hold the whole of Ereboni in the palm of my hand. But in reality, my position is far more tenuous. I have supporters and allies in the capital, certainly. But outside its walls, the nobility holds far more sway than any of them. And while it is true I hold a great amount of power in the form of the Imperial Army, even then I only truly command around 70% of it. Hey, Ninja, how are you doing? Odyssey, Sly Cooper, and Thievius Arcanus. Yeah, it seems you were playing Sky Third. Despite the absence of the titular book, we bear witness to reading all the same. Ah, thank you very much. That, I forgot to change that Sky... nope. I usually... and I also forgot to change the title of the stream, so you know what? I just dropped the ball super hard today. Man, thank you for dropping by, Ninja. And telling me, because that would have gone on for a long time. More doors. There we go. Bam. Easy. Oh, that's embarrassing. Hope you don't mind all the reading. Yeah, because unfortunately, while I'm not reading from the Thievius Raccoonus anymore, I am reading from this. Which, you know, it's a kind of book, right? Digital reading. Let's also click out of that. There we go. Oop. Come on. There we go. Okay. Close a different window. It's fun. I'm also an avid follower of Legend of Heroes. Nice! You also... what ones have you played? Because I've played all the Cold Steel games, and I'm just finishing up the Sky Trilogy now, and I'm waiting for the localized releases of Zero in September, which I'm very excited for. Gonna be getting on PC, and Azure in early 2023, also getting on PC. So those announcements for the special editions, not exactly pertinent to me because I don't plan on getting them. But really, like, I think they look cool. And I'm excited. The remainder is loyal to the nobility, who also maintain their own private armies. With those factored in, my advantage shrinks substantially. So you see, I'm still very much in the midst of a battle to truly exert control. Which is why you're building railways all over the country to expand your area of influence. And you've even been annexing new territory to that same end. As I've long thought, you clearly understand me better than anyone else. That is why I'll say this once again. Work with me, Your Highness. With your support, our nation will be able to bring about real reform faster than ever. The noble faction, bloated with its centuries of decadence, can be stopped before they can even have the chance to unify against us. Surely that's what you desire more than anything. Let me ask just a simple question, Chancellor. What connection do you have with Ouroboros? Damn, he knows. Played all the games released in the West. I just need to wait for the localization of Crossbell games. Nice. And Trails of Reverie. I have played all but one. Okay, I've played all but one. Yep. Yep, same. This is the last one currently localized that I've yet to play, so I'm really excited. Because, like, next year is the year of Trails, right? Because it's like, we're getting Zero this year, then we're getting Azure and Reverie in, like, an 8-month period. Because I'm pretty sure the release schedule that they did, or that was, like, the NVIDIA Shield, like, I can't quite remember, was, like, it was Zero now, like, in a couple months, then it was Azure, followed by Reverie. So two like mainline Trails games in a row, and then end of year is Nayuta, Boundless Trails. So, like, we're getting those two back to back, and I have to think it's because they really want the Trails games to kind of be released a bit faster. That way they can try and catch up with the Japanese ones that are currently out, right? Because Kuro is already out. It's already been out for like a year. And Kuro 2 is coming out in September as well. So by the time we get 0, Japan will already have Kuro 2. So, yeah, I think they're trying to maybe ramp up how quickly they get them out. Now, hopefully they don't rush them, but, you know, it will be nice to play them. Although, that's why I'm doing Duolingo, so hopefully I can just, like, you know, play games in Japanese and understand them. But maybe, maybe not. After I finished CS2, I went to the Sky Trilogy. Quite a few things were a place where CS2's ending, but this game cleared up so much. Yeah. Yeah, I played through the entire Cold Steel tetralogy before coming back to Sky, because, as I said at the start of my first chapter playthrough a while ago, what happened was I played through Trails Cold Steel 1, then I was like, oh, let me try out the first game in the series, and I bounced off of it just because of, like, the way it controlled and other stuff and the differences between that and Cold Steel, where I was like, you know what, I'll just watch cutscenes. So I watched the cutscenes and stuff and got the basic plots and stuff. But then after I finished Cold Steel 4, and I was like, okay, Zero and Azure are going to be coming out. I should go back and play these games so I can kind of like get myself acclimated to like the art style and the way the games control and all those things. I've been playing them, and I'm so glad that I did, because these games are awesome. You get so much more information outside of just story cutscenes by playing them and doing all the side quests and doing all the side content. That's like phenomenal. But yeah, this game in particular, the third, like it is just world building the game, right? Where it's like, okay, we're gonna make a very linear path, right? And we're gonna have that linear path be pretty world building in the sense of developing the church and developing Kevin and Reese. Then all the side stuff is going to be developing everything else, and it's fantastic. But do you have like a favorite character or favorite game, Ninja? Because you know, if you scroll down, you might be able to see my my best girl list of each, and you'll notice that Toa is the one I've chosen for each one, and you might also notice that several of my emotes are Toa themed. Although I will say I did also get Laura and Laura Dab, because strong arm Laura, one-shotting bosses since, I don't know, 2013. I don't know when Cold Steel 1 came out. I'm afraid I'm not quite sure what you're asking. I will say this, however. I'm a firm believer in using every resource at my disposal in the name of achieving reform. That's the way I believe in handling politics. I see! Well, it certainly does seem as though we would see eye to eye in many ways. And that's all the more reason why I'm afraid I must refuse your offer. Is that so? Yes, I find it difficult to like the rotten... I find it difficult to like the rotten noble faction that exists in the Empire. Or perhaps you're right that hate is the more appropriate word. But my feelings of fear towards your methods are far, far greater than my feelings of hatred towards the nobles. Begin a series with Sky. Second chapter? Definitely, yeah. But once the crossbow games hit, it will undoubtedly be Azure. Okay. Yeah, I've definitely heard that Azure is a fan favorite. I am very excited for that game to come out because, you know, I got high hopes for the crossbow duology. I think everything that I've heard about it, everything that I know about the characters, everything that I already kind of know about it after playing through Cold Steel, makes me really excited to find out like exactly what happens and the characters and stuff. I can also definitely agree that I think in terms of story and everything like combined, second chapter is probably my favorite as well. Because first chapter is like a build-up, right? We're introducing the world, the characters and stuff. Second chapter is really where they can pop it off and, you know, tie some threads together and really, like, go kind of crazy with what they put in place in the first game. The Cold Steel games, I think, are all generally good. My favorite one of those is Cold Steel 2. Not necessarily in terms of story, per se, but I just like, that's just the one I liked playing the most. Because that's also the game that I speedrun New Game Plus pretty regularly, and I just like how broken you can be in the game without having to get like too complex about it. But yeah, I am really excited for the crossbow games. Like, cannot come soon enough. I'm thinking I'll probably stream them. Or stream Zero maybe like a week or two after it releases. That way people can play through it prior to me streaming, and I might be able to get a New Game Plus save file, because I believe there's like a couple quests that are only New Game Plus, so I want to have a file that's on it. CS3 and 4 have been my top games, or CS3 doesn't stand on its own. Agreed. CS4 was just payoff for everything up to that point. Yeah, I feel like my thing with CS4 is, I think my big thing with it is Cold Steel 4 feels more like a Trails culmination rather than just a Cold Steel culmination, where it's like bringing all the characters together and all the stuff, and like you see everyone that you've ever seen in the games, and it takes a lot of like the attention away from new Class 7's growth, and Class 7, and I would say in general. I also think Cold Steel 4, maybe in terms of like slight narrative, they may have alluded to it a little bit with Olivier here saying like it almost seems like you feed off the ill will of the people that you annex. But I feel like they almost like leaned into the curse, right? The Erebonian curse being a bit too much, a bit too involved. Like, it almost feels like it retroactively made events that, like, they bring up in this game, like the Hamel, like tragedy and stuff, like, seem not... I don't want to say downplays it, but it makes it seem, like, less malicious of people, and more just, you know, a greater will made it happen because F you... my issue with CS4 was that there's far too much at once. The cast was far too huge for its own. Yeah, I can definitely see that. I can tell what they were going for, right? Where it's like, okay, we're gonna have really big cast, we're gonna see everyone talk, but because there's such a big cast, right? You can't have like any cutscene. It's just like every person says like one line, and then it goes. It's hard to have like meaningful discussions. Or when you do have those kinds of discussions, it's just like it's like the discussions about like on like the gathering on the airship, right? Where it's like got an hour and a half of just going to talk to small groups of people, because that's where it's really trying to shine with like, oh, these groups of people interacting. And it's like, well, why don't you just make story stuff around it instead of it just being these annoying things where you just kind of, I don't want to say annoying, but like on any replay you're just kind of clicking through most likely. I think they probably handle it a bit better in Reverie based on what I see, right, with Big Party, where it's like, okay, we're still gonna have a big cast, right, in the game. But instead, we're gonna have it be like Reen's story, Reen's path, Lloyd's path, and then Masked Man's path, right? Like, have all the characters still there, but have them, you know, isolated to a section for their interactions. That way the player still gets to use them, see them, go like, haha, I love it. But it's not, you know, bogging down the story in circular conversations, making sure everyone gets a word in. At least that's what I hope and think. But let's go forward. So Prince Oliver, more afraid of Osborne than he is disgusted by nobles. What you seem to be doing is trying to compel Erebonians with a delusive utopia, to whip them into an enthusiastic frenzy. No doubt by successfully convincing the people, the old guard will fall into the metaphorical firestorm created. And yes, by then the gears will have already begun turning. There'll be no satisfying a roused populace with a thirst for revolution. The storm will just keep growing larger and more ravenous, engulfing anything and everything in its wake. You know this, don't you, Chancellor? But of course! After all, that's what I intend to happen. It's the first stage of my reforms. Okay. So, Oliver has some level of idea that Osborne isn't planning on stopping within, like, Erebonian borders anytime soon. He plans on really whipping them up into a frenzy and eventually trying to move eastward. But it's not a matter of him, but I feel like it's not a matter of, like, either the curse hasn't been thought up by this point in the, like, people writing the game's narrative, or they are really trying to allude to it. Right? Because I feel like the curse was only really mentioned, right, in 3 and 4, right? That's where it's really like gone into. Curse didn't all events that much, as they explained the curse was born from human desires, and all that did was loosen the restraints on those inflicted. I know that people didn't want the curse, but the story needed something far greater to facilitate the two sectarian space in the story. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's one of those things where it almost felt like every bad thing that happened, right, was just like, oh, curse. Which is fine, and I definitely agree, like, it's detailing of loosening the restraints, right, where it's like, they may not have done this normally, but this kind of like, almost was like they drank a little bit of alcohol, or a bit of alcohol. But then you see, like, how much it actually can just straight up almost brainwash people if they're not as strong-willed as a lot of the characters in the story, right? Where it'll be like, oh, you know what, I'm not too happy with them. Kill all Calvardians. Like, yeah, of course, that's when the, curse is at strongest, so I guess it makes sense, but it's still, at least as far as I played and saw it, it still placed it as, like, a pretty big thing in the way, like, Osborne acts in the things he did. Because he's essentially the scion of the curse. But, I'm not going to say it's I'm not going to say it's bad, because, two septarians, they definitely have their place. Although, wasn't the curse born, wasn't it, because I thought it was the two Septarians fought, clashed, made the Septarian of Steel. Septarian of Steel gets split into all the Divine Knights. The curse, was the curse from the Divine Knights, or, because I thought the curse wasn't there, wait, was the curse from the Knights? Maybe it was, because I might be getting mixed up the Vermilion Apocalypses thing, where it's like, oh, it got corrupted with the curse, or was it the corruption in the Divine Knight that was attuned to the royal family? That's the reason why it went to the Emperor Dreikel's, because he was part of the royal family. He had the royal stuff. And then it went to his reincarnation, which is Osborne. It's been a while since I actually thought of what the plot of CS4 was. It was born from Mishelga's recording human nature. It concluded that human desires could only be fulfilled through conflict. Mishelga's AI. Okay, I forgot about... God, like, see, the thing is, right, with Trails, there's so much lore in story events and other things that keeping it all in my head, other than like a very base sky level, is very difficult to do. I'd be more than happy to share further details with you if you were to decide to work with me, Your Highness. In the meantime, I wish you well in strengthening your foothold back in the Empire. Of course, if that's your intention, you'll find it a necessity to work with those nobles you so despise. You truly do see through everything, don't you? Well, that sounds like the noon bell. The airship should be arriving shortly. Which means it's time for me to take my leave, I'm afraid. I look forward to seeing you again in the capital in 2 weeks' time. I take it the discussion is over then? What's wrong? You look awfully tired. Oh, nothing. I'm just feeling odd and new at what a monster I decided to pick a fight with. God damn it, rope. I think for the next door I probably won't do many voices. I'll probably just regularly talk because it's doing Mueller's voice and Osborne's voice really just goes at you. Oopsie, I think it's probably about time for the airship to arrive. I'm gonna have to stop you there and get going. What? See ya, Sieg. Next time I see you, I'll bring you some Erebonian salami as a souvenir, okay? Scree. Wait, are you planning on just disappear without telling me anything a second time? Ah, got an important question for you. Did you fall in love with someone while I was away? Hit the nail on the head, huh? Ah, that's so cute. First love, right? How's that feel? Heart all flutter 1 minute, end of the world the next? Don't you dare start teasing me. But yes. But you're right, though. I did. You rejected me in this very spot not that long ago. Wait, you're joking, right? There's a coincidence I didn't see coming. I'm not so sure about that. Feels like you know everything sometimes. I'm not some kind of all-knowing, all-seeing divinity. That's what makes the world so interesting to me. Head pats? Oh god. Is it just an Erebonian thing to head pat everyone? Oh. I'm happy for you, Chloe. Knowing the pain of lost love's what makes a girl blossom, in my humble opinion. Do you feel like the whole experience let you get a step closer to the person you want to be? Well, what about you? Do you feel you're getting closer to becoming the person that you want to be? By being at the Chancellor's side? Oof. Colseo's ultimately about Reen's journey to find balance with himself. Agree. Hard. That's literally his thing in every single game. A balance he finds as he completes his 8 leaves training, and through it imparts this understanding of human nature upon Ishmelga, the amalgamation of the Septarians of Fire and Earth. Just as Stealth starting these games gave an understanding of human nature to impart upon the Septarian of space. Ah, okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that definitely makes sense, right? Where it's like Reen is making... Reen's thing is finding balance with himself, and like the first game, it's about finding balance because within himself and his family, right? Where he spent the most of the game being like, yo, I shouldn't, like, I need to get out of my adoptive family's hair because I'm their adopted son, not their real son. And literally everyone is like, yo, dude, stop that. We love you. You're our family. Shut up. It's like, oh my god, okay, cool, thanks. Love you guys too. The second one, it's like, okay, I need to find acceptance again over myself and unlock my albino power, ogre power, and he does that. And the third game comes back again, and it's like, I gotta find balance within myself for the ogre power. But then at the end, he, you know, falls to the ogre power, and then the fourth one, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna find balance again, and then finish it. I feel like my biggest issue, right, with Reen not even as a character, is that I wish they showed him more, I guess, excitedly, or more events of him actually practicing the 8 leaves, right? Where in the first game, right, he's like, oh yeah, I barely got past like introductory level or whatever, and it's just been self-taught or something. And he never gives much of like an idea or like he never seems like he's striving to become a divine blade. Is, I feel like, where I'm coming from, right? Where it's like, he definitely, like Laura, right? Like Laura is a pretty good foil to him, right? Where it's like, Laura's all about, yo, I am the practitioner of the Arcade School. I'm gonna fucking get jacked, gonna go on training missions, like go around, learn the blade, get super stoked and awesome about it. I'm gonna try and be a master of the Arcade School. It's like, okay, cool, you do that. But Reen is always just kind of like, oh yeah, no, I can use the sword. I practice it, try to find like inner peace or whatever. And I can use it to cut this lock, and I can use it to, you know, protect my friends and, you know, protect my family. But always seemed a bit more of like a means to an end. It never seemed like he was aspiring to be really anything, right? He didn't join any, like, he helped the student council. He helped Toa out with the request in school because, you know, that's his thing. And also gameplay wise, that's just the easiest way. But he wasn't like aspiring to be an artist like Ellie. He wasn't aspiring to be a person that, I don't know, audits the government or the nobles like Maki is. He wasn't aspiring to be like a bracer. He wasn't aspiring to be a swords master. He wasn't aspiring, at least given in game, he wasn't aspiring to be really anything. He was just kind of meandering along, just helping people, which in its own ways fine. If that's his aspiration, to help people, fine, whatever. But him being a teacher in CS3 almost felt more of like a what position can we put him in that makes sense for us to kind of redo CS1's setting of school, but we can't have him still be in school. Gets enemy after you face Victor in CS1. Okay. That's something that's done off-screen. Drama CDs there and never released in the West. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I've just never felt like Reen projected very much desire as a character. Like, Estelle, like, as a main character, you know, throughout the entire first game, it's projecting her desire of being a bracer. Like, that is her desire. It's like, okay, yeah, I want to be that. That is my goal as a person, as a thing. I want to be that. It's not like a goal of achieve something, right? Like I feel like Reen's goals are definitely more like event-based, where it's like, okay, I put in the situation, my goal is to get out of the situation, like beat the baddie. Or like CS2, what is his goal in CS2? Rescue Elise. That is it. It's like, go rescue Elise, rescue Alpha. Those are his goals. And then also find a third path that heavily correlates to one of the already existing paths. But, yeah. Like, I feel like that's just, like, if Reen just gave a bit more desire, right? If he was just like, yeah, I want to be a divine blade. Like, he said it, right? Like, if he said those words, like, verbatim, and said, I want to be one, and this is why I'm doing something, then I feel like that would be, like, the lock and key that I would have with Reen's character. Because, like, I feel like almost like his character journey is very outside based, right? Where it's like other characters influencing him and making him understand himself and pushing him forward, rather than him grasping out and pulling himself forward in certain ways by being like, okay, go forward, make mistakes, learn, grow. Where at like, I feel bad comparing Reed to Estelle continuously, right? Because like they're supposed to be two different characters. You don't want the same character every game, right? But yeah. Biggest stems from Falcon attempt to make Cold Steel in the vein of Persona games. The problem is that the structure of design philosophy allows them to do things that Falcon simply cannot. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can definitely see the veins that they did with. Yeah, I mean that's definitely it. The romancing a bit more of like the side activity. I mean, I guess fishing was always there, but the free days and other things. But yeah, that formula just doesn't really necessarily work with this kind of overarching narrative, right? Where it's like you have multiple games all pushing forward one grand narrative. Persona benefits from the idea that they're each highly standalone. There are very few Persona games, or at least recent Persona games, basically 3 onward, that you need to have played a previous Persona game to play, because actually I think Persona 1 stands on its own. I think the 2 Persona 2 games kinda don't stand on their own, like you have to kind of play them, and I think Persona 1 also kind of shows up a little bit in Persona 2, whatever ones. But Persona 3, Persona 4, Persona 5, 5 Royal, the only ones that I feel like you almost need to play the other games are like almost, or at least have some idea of, are like the Persona Q games, which are spin-off games that don't really matter in any way, shape, or form. So just not an effect. But yeah, it's like I can definitely appreciate like developers being like, okay, you know what? That's something we want to try out. We want to try out a different design philosophy or like a different like game structure. But making sure it doesn't come at the cost of like strong character writing is imperative. Because I think that's the main thing that most people agree with, where it's like having so much of like the character development or potential character development be behind the bonding events, which are completely optional, and depending on who, like, you know, the romance thing obviously can't be canon in a certain way, but they push the Elisa one as probably the most canon, because they don't push any of them as real canon because they don't want to alienate any people that didn't do that. And putting the character development behind potential things that they may not have seen, like it's one of those things where they need to have the stories cohesive enough to the point where you can assume that the path for like the version of Reen going through the games is the one that does everything, that perfects it, as they kind of do in CS3 with CS2, where New Game Plus Reen is the Reen that shows up in CS3 because New Game Plus Reen is the only one that gets the event with Instructor Thomas. After you get all the black records. Right? But they made it so that you have... It's one of those things where they just took... They're good games, but I don't think they're perfect games. I think that's really what it comes down to. Oh, the Persona games take place in the same world? They do, yes. Each cast is basically a new response team in Igor's ongoing war against the gods? Yes. Let's make sure to keep the instance relevant, but isolated. Exactly. Right, where it's like... Because they all take place in the same world, because... One, it's just kind of the regular world. Like, that's it. It's just like, hey, it's Japan. For the most part. Of course, it's in the SMT multiverse of madness, basically, where they all have different paths. But, yeah, it's like there are certain crossovers where it's like, okay, you can kind of guarantee that they're in the same universe because, like, right, Persona 4 Ultimax, the ultimate suplex hold, features 3 and 4 as the cast together, and that one's a bit more fleshed out. So it's not odd for them to have been, you know, in the same world, but it's like, oh, this one's in Tokyo, this one's in backwater, like, rural Japan, where there's one gas station, and that gas station is very plot important, based on what I know from the anime. So I never played Persona 4 because I don't really want to, but I really liked Persona 5, and I'm excited for an eventual Persona 6. I hope they just port Persona 5 Royal to the PC, because I've already played Persona 5 Royal on the PS4, but I would totally play it again on stream in a heartbeat. Yeah. Kinda hard to do when I don't have a person I want to be to begin with. Just sticking with him because it feels like it'll be fun. That's all. I've been doing this since before I joined the academy, in fact. You have? The prince is proving surprisingly capable. But he still isn't a match for the Chancellor. Tell him to watch his back, alright? So that he doesn't get swallowed up by that monster after he gets tired of dancing. See ya. One hand in the air. And wave it like you just don't care. Goodbye, Lecter. Oh, God. See, I found it funny how it's like, okay, this stream, the doors are going to be a bit shorter. Because I'm not doing any of, like, the big, long doors. But I've gotten so into these side conversations, and I love it. This is one of my favorite parts about streaming. That I have probably elongated this door to longer than some of the longer doors. Closely is largely held back by player choice, despite Falcom working to make an overarching narrative of a highly detailed world. Yeah. Ooh, there we go. See, I feel like player choice probably wouldn't have held it back so long as they put more character development forward in the main story, right? And outside of those side events. And also, like, I feel like one of my favorite parts, right, between Cold Steel 1 and 2 is, like, that there is at least a little bit of carryover where it's like, okay, if you load save data from the first game, there'll be, like, a small cutscene referencing, like, who you chose to dance with in the first game, who you chose to romance, essentially. I would have liked that, had that carried over, right? Where it's like, Cold Steel 1, Cold Steel 2. Who did you choose to romance? Do you still want to romance them? They get bonus, like, bond points or whatever. And it's like, okay, it continues. Maybe you get a special cutscene too. CS3 comes around, ask that same question. CS4 comes around, ask that same question again. Have it be a through line. Any game in the future where, you know, that choice may have been relevant, ask it. And then just answer. It's like, oh yeah, no, I chose this person. And it's like, okay, cool. And just have that be a thing. Right? Because, like, I feel like that's one of the cooler parts. I never really got into the Witcher series all that much, but Witcher 3 has a big, long thing that you can do at the start of the game, where it basically takes you through Witcher 1 and 2 and all the major plot choices that you can do, and changes a whole bunch of the narrative around that. Lisa and Emma have two literal mountains of lore behind them. You could just tell that they want to do much more with them, but they just couldn't out of fear of overshadowing the other two. Yeah, like, there's so much lore in Emma, especially in, like, 3 and 4, right? Where it's, like, really revealed and, like, dove into that she's part of the Hexen clan. And, Elise's is all about, like, well, I feel like I don't remember Elise's all that well, but I feel like hers is a lot more about the, like, industrial side, like, specifically Rhineford and all that stuff. But yeah, it is really just one of those things where it's like, they put him in the place where it may have quote-unquote fit the best in terms of characters involved, but in terms of having it be available for the minimalist playthroughs and going forward, you know, inclusion in the lore, may not. Of course, depending, because I mean, so long as it's mentioned, you could argue that it's like, oh yeah, they can include it however much because it's been mentioned prior. If you didn't see it, then you didn't see it, but it was mentioned, you just didn't take the things to do it. Now, I think that there's a limit to that level, right? Where it's like, oh, if you need to get to the final event for a person's thing, you need to, like, I definitely feel like the most ridiculous one is the Cold Steel 2 one, where it's like you need to play through New Game Plus to get this one actually pretty significant event to proc. Like, if we're being real here, that, like, the Thomas event is actually pretty important. And they just, like, drop it at the start of Cold Steel 3 out of nowhere if you didn't know about it and didn't do it. So, yeah. But regardless, I hope that I hope that going forward they have like retrospectively looked back and seen like, okay, what worked, what didn't work, and let's do that. As far as I have heard or read about Kuro, there are still like bond events, but they're less romantic in nature. They're a lot more about character, like backstory, or like more like being friends, where it's not vital to do them. As far as I've read. Not sure if that's exactly true. We'll see in years when we get the games. The Calabria International Airline bound for the Principality of Remiferia will be departing momentarily. Please mind your footing when boarding. Okay, going to the Principality of Remiferia. We know that place. Not because we've been there, but because people we know have come from there. I bow to you. A tip of the hat from one legend to another. Okay. Honk, honk, honk. God, I always think the airship designs in these games are so cool. So that was the Blood and Iron Chancellor. Can't believe he actually went out of his way to use a civilian airship when he probably has a private one of his own. I'd heard rumors about how out of the ordinary he is, but he lives up to all of them. He keeps me on my toes, to put it playfully enough. Him aside, thanks for coming all this way to see me off, Shara. I was lucky I just happened to have business here at the right time. Feels like this is going to be the last chance we get to see one another for a while, after all. Rather unfortunate, as my dream is and always was to live away my days in the lap of luxury surrounded by women as beautiful as you. Well, good luck with that. Changing the subject, though. Who was the young man at the Chancellor's side? He didn't strike me as the ordinary guy. Oh, you could tell. But of course. I'd say I'm used to running into people who are out of the ordinary at this point. We've sure fought enough of them. His name's Lecter Arundel. He's a secretary who was sent here by the Imperial government. Apparently he was the one who planned out all the details of the Chancellor's visit to Liberal. I can't pretend to know much regarding his background, but he's exceptionally skilled at what he does. Actually, I know a little. What? Oh? Is that true? Yes. I explained that Lecter once attended the same academy as her and had served as a student council president. He also mentioned about his sudden disappearance after the academy festival 2 years ago. Unbelievable. But then, someone connected to the Chancellor has visited Liberal first, and he's very likely to have had his own veritable information network established here long before I even came up with the idea. I think it's safe for us to assume that's the case. Which also means that it's safe to assume he knows every detail about all that's happened here since. From the coup d'etat to the crisis regarding the Oriole. All of it. This man gets more unbelievable by the minute. He actually gave me a message to pass on to you earlier, too. Watch your back so you don't get swallowed up by that monster when you get tired of dancing. He sure knows how to sting where it hurts, doesn't he? I feel like I can see a whole new world of pleasure opening up before my eyes. You should know better. Getting outdone at every turn like this is really not my style. What do you mean? Captain Schwartz, I have a little favor I'd like to ask for when we're in the air. Oh god, the clouds and sky are so bright. I'm rather impressed with how Prince Oliver has come along. No matter how he chooses to act from here on, he will have his uses, to be certain. You would say that, given that you think of everyone as your pawns. There's me, the Prince, and society. Indeed. And I am much the same. We are but pawns of the vast game board that is the Empire, where a thrill like no other will take place. But it's because you, too, wish to see how that game plays out that you've chosen to stand with me, is it not? Oh, hey. What can I say? Just don't forget that this piece right here might not be loyal forever, even though he's actually very loyal, quite literally to the very end. Like that little piece of potential betrayal is not relevant. And such a betrayal would be perfectly fine by me. Did you honestly think I'd ever consider the possibility that may happen? Just thought I'd come out and say it. How are the other Iron Bloods doing, by the way? Okay, dropping Iron Bloods. They're all doing very well by the sound of it. At the rate things are going, there's a chance all of the Prince's efforts will be for naught. Perhaps I'll hold back on him a little. You sure don't pull any punches, do you? Know something? I wouldn't write him off so easily if I were in your shoes. What? Shoes. What? Throw the bouquet of roses. Shoot. Rose pet. Fucking showmanship at its finest. Now those petals are hanging in the air quite a while. These look like those petals. If you look out the window on the right-hand side of the airship, you will be able to see the famous high-speed cruiser, the Arsail. We've been informed that it's on its way to the Imperial capital with Prince Olivert of the Erebonian Empire on board. He's also given us a message to relay to all of the passengers on board today. I give thanks to Adios for the good fortune to have been able to meet you today. May your journey be filled with beautiful roses and her blessings. And of course, may your journey to your homes be a safe and pleasant one. That marks the end of his message. Dude, Olivier, Prince Olivert, easily one of the best characters in all of Trails. I mean, I feel like they knew that, and that's why they have him be recurring so much. But he is easily, you know, creme de la creme of characters. Just in terms of how fun he is, but also how vitally important he is to so much plot, and how well he works with any other character. Like, you have him interact with any other character, and you're like, I love this. This is fantastic. At least as a direct descendant of gnomes, the Black Workshop will do many things in the future through her. Is she? Yeah, I guess she is. Yeah, I forgot about that because... Wait. Oh, yeah, because, right, her dad's thing, right, was like the gnome blood was like sleeper cell. And it was only through... like the curse activating that it he awoke to his gnome his gnomehood. So yeah, I guess. Yeah, that also works. Yeah, I never thought of it. See, that's also one of those things where I was like, oh yeah, no, that's just curse. But no, yeah, no. Her dad is just straight up gnome. Along with Georg. Copper Georg. Yeah, because the mom is just the regular person. Never thought there was a bigger dumbass in this world than me. Yet here we are. Very well, debaucherous prince. I look forward to seeing what you can do. Show me how long you can hold out against me. Okay, cool. There's the rose. Side story, Return of the Empire, or Return to the Empire, finished. Divine Eye, 7,000 mirror. Okay, so what does Divine Eye do? What does Divine Eye get me? Ornament, do I already have Divine Eye, Falcon Eye? No, okay, I think I might have Divine Eye already. Heaven's Eye, confused. Where are you, Divine Eye? Divine Eye. Topaz Gem, heal, attack. Divine Eye, there we go. Scent, Eagle Eye, Information, Septium Vein, Luck. Okay. So... that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Oh yeah, I need to check who can go into the next door before I switch out anyone. Star doors. That was 8, 9. Mirror comes, mirror goes. Sometimes it may be lost, but at times lost can be regained manyfold. Offer 50 grand mirror to me. Only then shall the door open. Okay. Bring me a girl, dollars played giant doll. Inside, try to waste her. Should this fail to tear you, open the door and step inside. Those who seek down in this door must first overcome. Okay. So I'll just do the official, like, regular swap out.
Leave it to Ren.
Go. Leave it to Ren. Support character. Power recovery CP up. Speed move ADF. Spouse you recover +2 defense -5. Strength ADF. Strength tag. Yeah, I'll take that. Okay, so that's not too bad. And I believe I have... yeah, basically what I did was I also, to get up to the point where I had, not get up to the point. I grinded up everyone up to about 118, 119 while I was getting the 400 victories. The gnomes are subjugated by Ishmael's confidant, Black Albrecht. Okay, yeah. Each chief of the gnomes was a host for Black Albrecht. Okay, yep. Fast forward 100 years later, at least his father came along, his memory sealed like... okay. See, it's nice having you here, Ninja, because that's... you saying it is jogging the memory of like, oh yeah, no, that... yes, that is it. Yeah, and her pa totally faked his own death, and also was the disciple of grouchy old sourpuss Magoo. Okay, Ren. So let's put on a super gladiator headband and a regular gladiator belt. And let's also go drink some CP. Drank. Okay, and we'll go down to the star door for 50,000. I think I have plenty of money. Yeah, I got 265,000, so I got plenty. Okay, so let's save. And usually the ones that don't have a specific person are a bit shorter because they're on. Because the first one was just like the salt pail information, like the dossier from the church or for the church about the salt pail. The second one was the Epstein Foundation's like guiding principles, like pamphlet basically. Mirror comes and mirror goes. Sometimes it may be lost, but at times that loss can be regained manyfold. Offer 50,000 mirror to me, only then shut the door open. Paid 50,000 mirror. It's a star door. Star chamber. I shall grant you a memory fragment and my blessing. It's so bright. Okay, so City of Bows. Interesting, was not expecting a person one. We don't get people ones. Okay, so this is... so thank you very much for coming today. I'd love it if you'd be able to start coming to pray like this more often. I'm afraid it looks as though I won't have a choice in that matter. If I show any signs of skipping mass lately, Lulu gives me a stern lecturing. Rather fortunate to have someone like her by your side, you know? Nothing is more valuable than a person than someone who will chide them when they seem to be straying from the right path. Oh, I couldn't agree more. I do wish she would go a little easier on me than she currently does, however. Look at it this way. The fact that she doesn't shows just how important you are to her. For one thing, I hear you've been exceptionally busy with work these days. I wouldn't be surprised if she hopes to make the time you spend here to be a break from all of that. As frustrating as it is to admit, that's a scarily sound assessment. But she can't keep me away from work forever now, can she? I think I ought to be getting back to it now, so if you'll excuse me, please give my regards to Father Holstein too. Certainly. A good day to you, then. Ugh. Workaholic. As if Lila wasn't bad enough, now I have Sister Rosa saying the same things as her. Oh well. Next up is inspecting the market, so I should probably get to doing that. I was expecting Leah to be here to meet me by now, though. She's been awfully cold to me lately, and I still don't have a clue as to why. I thought she was going to pray with me today, too, and then she ended up deciding what she needed to take care of shopping. Maybe I can grill her on it later. For now, I should hurry and get to the market. Oh, isn't that Leela? Thanks, I really do appreciate your help today. Not at all, I should be saying the same to you. Anyway, if you need anything else, just give me a call. I can always worm my way out wherever's on my schedule and make time for you. I'll certainly keep that in mind. Please do. My sister's been so excited for the big day already. It'll surely be one to remember. Yes, I'm sure. For now, however, I really should get going. Oh yeah, I should be about done with Mass now, right? Until next time, farewell for now. Did I just witness what I think I did? So that's why she's backing so distant towards me lately. I wish she'd said something. I thought we were supposed to be close. She thinks she's going on dates. Who wants to bet that's not the case? I suppose it shouldn't come as much as a surprise. She's a grown woman. She might seem cold towards people on the outside, but she's a wonderful human being, and a rather attractive one too. If anything, I'm surprised it's taking her this long to find someone. Well, it wouldn't be fair for me to get in the way of her happiness. I do feel a little lonely at the thought, but she's going to want my support. It wouldn't be right for me not to give her it. I have to apologize for being late. May I ask exactly what you're doing? Oh, it's you, Leela. How long have you been there? You appear to be rather tired. This is why I keep telling you need to stop overexerting yourself. Oh no, I'm not, I assure you. Shall we head to the market? Well, if you say so. The next day. The very next day. I've talked about it before, but how, like, interesting it is to have a fantasy world where there is one religion, and that religion is essentially known to be true and correct, at least in its basis, right? Where it's like, Adios is the goddess. And it's like, okay, no, that's actually the case, and there are all the divine beasts that have actually spoken to her. And the Septarians are proof that she did give gifts to humanity of old. Right? Like, that's such an interesting concept. Because a lot of, I'd say a lot of JRPGs run with religion the same way, ours world goes on. Where it's like, there will be various religions that all have their own belief systems and, gods, goddesses, what have you. And they all claim to be true. Because they are believers of it. But I feel like very rarely will you get JRPGs where it's like, no, here's the church, and they're right. Now, maybe the way it's presented might not be in the best way in certain cases, or maybe believers of it might not be acting great or being scions of said faith. But the religion itself being undoubtedly correct is interesting. Like the founding of the faith is sensible. Here, Maybell, can I ask you to go what you want me to do one more time? Just so I'm not misunderstanding. Well, as I said, I would like to investigate exactly what relationship those two have, as well as what kind of person the gentleman in question is. So to put it in simpler terms, you want me to check out whether they're dating and do a background check on the man, right? Is that right? Yes. Yes, it is. Is there something wrong? Well, kinda. I mean, we braces do at times do background checks on people, but that's when we suspect or know for sure they're involved in a crime. If they're not, doing so would be an invasion of their privacy, and that doesn't exactly fly with us. Oh. Obviously, if you have a reason to believe the man Leela appears to be dating is involved in illegal activity, I'd be happy to help. Is that the case, though? No. On the contrary, actually, he appears to be a good, honest man. I see. There's obviously going to be the chance that just a facade and he's not the kind of person he appears to be, but as it stands, I don't see any grounds for the guild to make their move. That is unfortunate. but I can certainly see where you're coming from. I'm sorry for troubling you with this. I don't know what came over me. Please forget this conversation ever happened. Forgive me for asking this, but you're all in favor of them dating, right? You're not trying to break them up or something? So why are you so concerned with finding all this out? As I think you're aware, Leela lost her mother and father during the 100 Days' War. As far as I can tell, the scars that left on her heart still haven't truly healed either. And I believe that this is her first foray into romantic relationships too. I'm just so worried about her getting hurt as a result of this. I'm not the slightest concerned about how noble the man's family is or how much money they have. Nothing superficial like that. All I want to know is whether he genuinely cares for her well-being and will make her happy. That's all that matters to me. I see where you're coming from. Still, at the end of the day, that doesn't give me the excuse to invade in the man's privacy or meddle in their affairs. I'm sure Leela will eventually tell me about what's going on when she feels the time is right. I can ask her all of my questions then. Nah, this is good stuff. What do you mean? I completely understand where you're coming from here. I'd be more than happy to accept your request. Just drop that information, Annalise. It's like, yo, hot diggity dog. Hot dog, hot dog, hot diggity dog. Hot dog, hot dog, hot diggity dog. Time to do this. Wait, I thought, are you sure? Wouldn't doing so violate the Bracer Code? Oh, no worries. The Bracer Code is totally open to individual interpretation, so it leaves a lot to each Bracer's personal judgment. I feel trying to follow the code to the letter and ignoring the feelings of those we're trying to serve misses the point of being a Bracer too. So I don't think it's unfair to dismiss your well-meaning intentions as trying to invade someone's privacy either. You leave all this to me. I'll get you all kinds of answers. Thank you so much. I appreciate you agreeing to do this for me. Really. Just know that I completely understand where you were coming from earlier, so I do want to ask that you invade his privacy no more than necessary. Is that fair? Perfecto! I hope this turns out to be something that'll really make her happy. Okay, so I control Annalise in this? And that was the day Annalise agreed to accept the mayor's request, immediately and enthusiastically, beginning her investigation. Naturally, she was very cautious not to make both Leela and her presumed partner suspicious in the process. Testimony 1. Okay, so I need to go get something to not necessarily help my throat, but to have. I think I'm going to go get some applesauce. So I'll be right back. And I'm back. Yeah. Got applesauce right here. Already taking a bite or two of it. Do you call it a bite or a spoonful? Not exactly sure what I should call it. But definitely feels good on my throat. Those two certainly did come here, yes? I remember them sitting at the table over there having a pleasant conversation with one another. I couldn't tell you what they were talking about, I'm afraid. But I do remember seeing Leela smile while talking, which you don't see every day. Every day with her. That struck me. Really now? You remember anything about the man, by the way? Not much detail. Just that he was a well-groomed, seemingly pleasant young man. That's about all I can say, I'm afraid. I see. Can I ask you why you want to know all this? Well, you see... it's okay, you don't need to answer. They're in love, aren't they? That all makes sense now. She did very much look like a girl in love when she was talking to him, you know. So Leah is finally ready to begin her journey into adulthood, is she? How sweet. We don't know for sure yet. So please keep this to yourself, okay? Don't go telling any of the other customers and starting any rumors. Not to worry, the secret's safe with me. Testimony 2. Yes, I saw them. I remember the man escorting the maid to the front door of the mayor's mansion. Surprised he didn't go inside with her, honestly. Whenever I take Mina home, I always do. Oh, Harry. You ask me, you're the one behaving improperly, not the man we're talking about. I am? Ordinarily, when a gentleman escorts a lady to her home, he doesn't go inside. Really? Really. But surely the fact that I do is proof that we're that close, right? I wouldn't be assuming that if I were you. For one thing, those two seemed awfully close even without that, didn't they? I'm not saying that's always wrong to go inside, per se. If that's what you want to keep doing, you won't see me stopping you. Okay. I will then. Why does everything have to be so much work when it comes to you? Harry's literally like, yo, we're pretty darn close, right? Because I go inside your house. And she's like, well, not always. But you can still happily come inside. Okay. Oh, why are you so difficult? To me, Harry is very straightforward and not difficult whatsoever. Thanks for the info anyway. Testimony 3. I want to ask about a man who's been spending time with Leela lately? And thinking back, I did see her with a man when my husband and I went to the market. They were looking at souvenirs together, I believe. I remember it well too. I've rarely seen a more adoring pair in my life. They were like a pair of newlyweds. Really? I wouldn't pay much attention to anything my husband says. He has a habit of exaggerating. Haha, I'm not ashamed of it either. These kinds of stories are always much more interesting with a touch of dramatic flair. Wasn't the first time I've seen the man, though. I'm sure I've met him before. But I can't for sure the life of me remember his name. Can you remember, dear? Don't be silly. Of course I remember. I would never forget the name of a man I've done good business with. That was young Leonard. Wait, I know that name. Leonard from the Kingfisher Inn? Oh, you know him already? Well, that puts a damper on my fun. I use that place a lot for work reasons, so I even know him by face. Can't say for sure. I can't say I know all that much about him as a person, though. If you're well acquainted with him, would you tell me a bit more about him? I don't mind, but this information isn't going to come cheap. You're going to charge me? Please, that's not funny, dear. We owe ever so much to the Bracer Guild. You can't threaten to charge a member. I won't have it. Sorry, but I just can't help myself to a good joke. Let's see. Well, he's a good, honest man for starters. A massive dingle. Several days later. Was she out getting testimonies for days? I see. So the man in question is Leonard from the Kingfisher Inn. Wonder how those two came to know each other. No, you know Leonard already? Only by name. Can't say I've ever spoken to him in person as such. The Kingfisher Inn has really made a name for itself in recent years. I've been doing quite well financially too. As things stand, it's a good target for investment. Gina said that too. I'm no expert on that kind of stuff though. Still, from what I can gather based on your report, their relationship is a healthy one. And you seem to think very highly of Leonard. Oh, absolutely. Even his little sister, Sophina, is super sweet. I'd say you don't have anything to worry about with them. From what I've gathered, they make for a picture-perfect married couple. I'd like to believe that's still a while off. And again, if they really are dating, it's a reality I have to come to terms with sooner or later. I'm happy for her, but at the same time, I'm a little sad too. I get what you mean. Thank you very much for your report, Annalise. It sounds like she's made a fine choice. So I suppose all I can do now is wait for her to share the truth with me herself. That sounds like a good plan. Miss Maybell, it's me, Leela. Could I have a moment of your time? Oh. Speak of the devil. Wonder if the time has finally come. That'd be one funny coincidence, but maybe it has. And if it has, then it's about time I made my exit. I wouldn't want to get in the way. Nonsense. I'd actually prefer if you stayed. If she does tell us what I expect her to, I don't intend to hide the truth of what I asked you to do. Oh, I see. Okay then. Miss Maybell? Oh, sorry, Leela. Come on in. As you wish. Oh, Miss Annalise. Please do accept my apologies. I didn't realize I was intruding. You're not. Wait, you're not. Don't mind me. I was just here to give my report on an investigation on behalf of the mayor. I see. So what brings you here, Leela? Do you have something you want to talk to me about? You could say that, yes. I have an important request I wish to make of you. Really now? What would that happen to be? Well, it concerns the Kingfisher Inn near Valeria Lake. My. You were right. Excuse me? Did you think I had no idea what was happening? I already know everything there is to know. How could you possibly? I'm sorry. I actually had Annalise here look into it for me. I was worried about you, you see. You'd been behaving so strangely lately. I'm sorry that I did it, but I just couldn't help myself. They really jumped to the gun after just hearing Kingfisher Inn, and nothing else. Ugh. Literally, that was the only thing that was stated. There's no need for you to apologize, however. I didn't mean to worry you. Perhaps I should have been more open from the start. So, is Leonard being good to you? Damn! Cut right to the chase, why don't you? He's a very kind man, yes. Why do you ask? That wasn't what I was asking. You know what I mean, Leela. So, is there anything else you want to say on the matter? Well, yes. If it's alright with you, I'd like to get right to discussing the date for the big day. The big day? Let's just speak around it. Already? The big day? We've already started mapping it out? We have. We're hoping to keep it a secret for as long as possible in order to surprise you. Naturally, I've made sure everything fits into your schedule. Do I have your okay to begin making the necessary arrangements? Wowee. Something wrong? Yeah. Oh, is that? You dummy! I can see why you might have wanted to surprise me, I can. Did you really have to keep this from me until this late in the process? I mean, you got right to your own private life, you don't have to share everything in that with me. I'm not saying you have to. I can't believe you would decide something so important without consulting me even once. Do I mean that little to you? But besides, you've only been going out for about a month. Our wedding bells at this stage a little premature. This decision is going to impact you for the rest of your life, Leela. You understand that, right? I think you should calm down and listen to what she has to say, Mayor Maybell. I'm sure she does understand and has her own reasons for deciding it. I have a horrible feeling that there is a very grave misunderstanding taking place here. You serious? Just what are we misunderstanding? The arrangements I've made are for your next vacation. You've been so busy lately that I thought you really ought to have one, so I've been making the necessary arrangements in secret. What? You mentioned before that you would like to visit the famous Kingfisher Inn once, you see? So when Laird needed to come to Beau's Market to do some shopping, we decided to use the chance to meet and discuss about how about to go about this. I hadn't realized my actions were causing so many problems for you. Whoopsie. I worry about you sometimes. Besides, I have no intention of getting married before a certain mistress of mine, which doesn't seem to be anytime soon, so she makes a hobby of turning down countless marriage proposals in favor of devoting herself to work. It's not a hobby, because I don't have so much work on my... It's because I have so much work on my plate that I don't have time for marriage to be on the brain. So there's nothing between you and Leonard? Nothing at all? Everyone says you two have been getting along so well. I'll admit that he's a lovely man, and one I have a very positive impression of. Yo, Neko Dave, how's it going, my man? How's it going? You see the pre-order announcements for, Trails to Azure? So those are announced today. Special editions look pretty cool. Not gonna get them because I'm getting the games on PC, but, you know, I'm excited. but I've never considered him a potential partner. Not once. Why? All girls your age experience romance at least once. It wouldn't be right for you not to do the same. This isn't something I intend to come out and say, but it seems you leave me with no choice. Right now, the most important thing in my life is your happiness. I will put that over anything and everything else. Ensuring it is my greatest joy. My very reason for being. Yeah, it looks nice. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I wish I had more space that I could, like, enjoy kind of special editions with. Like, and it's also one of those things where I feel like I'm at a point where it's like, because I haven't gotten special editions for a lot of the other games, I don't want to just jump in for 2 random ones. I feel like if I were to get special editions at this point with Trails, I would probably be waiting until Kuro, because I would probably want to start at this, like not in the middle of, like, an arc, essentially. Now, I know the crossbow is its own arc, but it also definitely doesn't help that the special editions for the crossbow games are coming out at the same time as the PC one, right? Where if it was PlayStation exclusive for a time, then I'd be like, okay, you know what? Maybe I will get it physically and might as well get the special edition because I'm going to be playing it on my console. But because PC is coming out, I'm like, you know, I only want to buy it on the PC. But I feel like when Kuro comes out eventually in the West, that one might be a console exclusive for a little bit. So that one might be a good chance for me to get then. Well, by the time it gets out, PS5 will be well in its lifetime. Probably to the point where PlayStation 6 might be rumored. Which is odd to think about. Ugh. But yeah, I'm just being so excited for that game. Sharing is my greatest joy, very reason for being. Until you've decided upon a partner to supplement that happiness, I have absolutely no intention of looking at anyone but you. I do appreciate you worrying about me. If it's my happiness you want, I ask that you focus on your own happiness first and foremost. And yet, like clockwork, I see you disregarding your well-being and taking on far more work than is humanly possible. Fine, I get it. Now that we can put the whole marriage thing behind us, I will accept your offer of a vacation. So feel free to proceed with your plan, and leave arranging the schedule to you. As you wish. If you'll permit me to excuse myself, I shall. Good day to you, Miss Enlace. Oh. Basically saying, yo, if you want me to get married, you gotta get married first, bitch. I'm really sorry. Looks like my research may have been a tad incomplete. Don't worry about it. I don't think anything was wrong with your report. All of this was due to me foolishly jumping to conclusions. Can't believe I ended up giving her yet another excuse to lecture me. Aw, it's no big deal. Gotta admit, though, I am jealous. Jealous? Ha, you never heard that. Anyway, I'm sure I'll see you around. You two look great together. Oh. Oh, is she like insinuating? Okay. You know what? Honestly, Mayor Maybell cross Leela. I can see that ship. Ugh. It's like you don't need to wait for each other to find happiness because you're gonna find it together. Oh, Annalise. What a day. I'm almost ashamed to be this relieved over all of this. I don't know if I'll ever be able to manage her without her at my side. Come on, just keep laying it on thick. That story, like a mother, finished. Bloody meatballs. Oh, that's a bloody meatball. Oh, okay. Pay 50 to get 100. Nice. Probably should have done that. Let's see, I should have done that immediately when I was able. Okay, so it is 8:30. That door probably only took me like 30 minutes. So, you know, I think I'm gonna try, see if I can't do, Ren's door relatively quickly. Okay, so her orbment's set out. She's got... she's got stuff, at least. And she has immediate... actually, did I? Heaven's Eye. Eagle Eye and Information. Divine Eye. So the interesting thing about this is they made Divine Eye... Oh, but also increases scent. I don't like that. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep this. No problem. Bring to me the girl who plays with a giant doll, however, inside a trial awaits her. Should this fail to deter you, open the door and step inside. Open the door. Hopefully, it's not too tough, given levels, but not exactly sure. Star Chamber, baby. Okay, so I think this is the third door with a trial in it. Or maybe the fourth. Overcome the trial before you, then I shall grant you a memory fragment and my blessing. Okay. I don't know their shtick. Art. Petrify Cloud. That. Okay. Okay. Should have remembered that they just petrify. So, this went you. This. Oh, are you serious? You don't have a all AoE? God damn it. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna need to equip petrify equipment. Love it. See, that's the shitty part about these kind of trial doors, where it's like you don't really get much leeway. It's where it's like how do I say it? Like there's very little leeway in what you're able to recover from because you're by yourself. The trials that have the full team, right? Those are the ones where it's like, okay, you know, one person gets petrified. God damn it. The door text takes forever to scroll. However, you know, with a whole team, at least there's some recoverability, right? Like, even if it was just Kevin there. It was like, okay, heal, then do other stuff, like, kind of have a rolling workaround. But when it's just one character and status effect is able to be done, okay, let's do that. Really, that didn't kill that time. Great, love it. Yeah, that. Desperately need to be able to friggin' God damn. Retry. I'm willing to bet that that one is more of a happenstance, not great thing that went on. Do that. Yeah, there we go. That time it killed two of them. The other one it just decided not to. Are you serious? That just destroys my CP? Love it. Need to heal myself. Okay. God, you are actually just the worst. Alright. We're all... Ah! Should have just used a item. Okay. Thank you. Go. Craft. Go. Damn it. At least they're nice enough to continue lining up. Okay. Here, I'll heal ourselves. Yeah. Okay. How did I like Olivier's door? Oh, Olivier's door was great. I was not expecting to see the Chancellor in this game. I can definitely tell you that. And seeing all the seeds that they planted like about future games in their conversations were nice. I apologize. I didn't see your comment earlier. Yeah. I feel like that's one thing that I still have to really brush up on as a streamer in general, where it's I need to look at chat a bit more. Still. That way I don't miss when people comment. Okay, did that. Okay, so how long is hers gonna be? Loading. Complete. Ah, okay, Patermater. 13 factories. Gordius Class Tactical Archaism Development Plan, author 13 factories, codename Patermater. Plan overview. We intend to develop a cutting-edge archaism that inherits the DNA of the rest of the Gordius series while containing a more advanced control system. It will retain the same tactical effectiveness that was the primary development goal in previous models, while allowing for more flexible and precise strategic usage as well. Effective radius. The archaism is intended to be accessible across the whole continent. Powerful main and sub-engines should allow it to operate for several years without resupplying. Jesus! Autonomous combat ability. The use of the Mars Integrated Orbital Arithmetic Logic Unit will allow for advanced autonomous combat and effective identifying of targets. In addition, the Archaism's control system will make use of the operator's nervous system, allowing for reflexive, instinctive movements in combat. The operator will communicate with the Archaism without being in physical contact with it. This will require a compatible candidate to be found and chosen. This music. Baby. Love to see that. Oh. Dimensions. Height and weight. Overall height, 15.5 arch. Unit weight, 55 torum, 68 torum when fully armed. The Archaism's primary weaponry will be its orbital weapon, or will be its orbital energy cannons, but will have other kinds of orbital weaponry and even several gunpowder-powered weapons as a backup. It'll also have a revival system, which will use an orbment to generate healing energy to heal or revive its operator in times of danger. The armor plating will be made using Curdalagon alloy. Curdalagon is the most fitting material to use, given it is the most capable we have access to in all regards. Today, regarding strength, see files on Gospel. Progress. Development is proceeding smoothly in line with the plans drawn up by Professor Novartis. Tests have also confirmed that they are already capable of providing power to the actuators. However, the professor has raised concerns about the low responsiveness of the flight engine. This is especially true for the anti-gravity generator. He concluded that the engine as it stands cannot be put into actual use. The possibility of using boosters to provide additional propulsion is under consideration. Actuators. Bone, the actuators is experiencing significant difficulty, as it isn't possible to simply use the same ones as other archaisms. The increased size of the main weaponry means the archaism's weight during combat is significant, and as a result, problems have been occurring in durability tests, especially with the leg joints. It may be possible to make improvements in this area by using precise control so the weight burden is spread evenly rather than focused on one point. Main armaments. The orbital energy cannons that will serve as its primary armaments have been successfully tested. However, by order of Professor Novartis, the possibility of them becoming twin mounts is being analyzed, so they have yet to be equipped. The new orbital engines are expected to be able to provide enough energy to compensate for the necessary increase in output. Control system. Experiments regarding the control system are currently ongoing. For the results of the experiments that have been carried out so far, see a separate entry. Experiment results. Dude, this thing is massive. Like, I will say, like, the cutscenes where you're fighting against it, like, it really doesn't put into scale, but this camera angle, it's like, Jesus Christ, Pater Mater's massive. God, itchy nose. Yeah. Still itching. Ah. Tests of the control system continue to be performed. However, none of the test subjects have been able to realize the expected level of precision we are aiming for. The results of the main tests conducted by Professor Narvaez and his team can be viewed above. Test results. Subject A1, abnormality during phase 2, comatose. Test subject B3, abnormality during phase 3, cardiac arrest. A lot bigger than Divine Knife. Yeah, like massive. Test subject C1, abnormality during phase 1, insanity. Coma. Heart stops. Just actually going insane. D7, comatose. E3, cardiac arrest. F2, comatose. G4, comatose. H1, comatose. 16, mental breakdown. As can be seen, all the subjects failed to adapt to the control system. Nonetheless, society continues to supply test subjects, and we intend to keep performing further experiments. Oh yeah, because like the 13 can't remember. Fucking 13 factories, they were like a separate thing outside of Ouroboros. But then we're like kind of merged, right? Like that was the deal? Like that was the idea? Future development. We received word from the society that development is to be temporarily frozen. Something like that. The reasoning is that the stability of the control system is in question. From now on, only test subjects carefully chosen by the society will be taking part in connection tests. C. Ren. R3. Successfully completed all 4 testing phases. Note, the subject did experience a small degree of flashbacks. R3. Succeeding in communicating with Beta Mater. Ascertaining the society's intentions in regards to resuming development. R3 has succeeded in operating Beta Mater. Ascertaining the society's intentions in regards to resuming development. The Black Workshop. Yeah. So, yeah, the Black Work... Because that was one thing. So, I thought 13 factories was actually literally 13 separate things. And the Black Workshop was one of said factories. Are they, like, the same thing or different? Like, is the Black Work... Wait, oh no, wait. I feel like I remember there being, like, a multiple choice thing about it in CS4 where it's, like, 13 factories are the Black Workshop, which were the gnomes, and the gnomes then got pulled into Ouroboros, but then were pulled kind of out of it by the Chancellor, if I'm remembering right. Something like that. Great class, okay. See 10,000 Mira. And that's it. You bastard. You couldn't give me more than that, you bastard. Okay, fine. Did I just get a call? No. Okay. Okay, so we got 11, 12, 13, 14, and then 15 is later. Okay. So those who seek to enter the store must first overcome a trial. So I want to be as equipped out as possible. So let's go back to base and get Chloe. Oh! Cutscene for... Welcome back, everyone. You okay, Ren? You feeling tired? Why don't you rest here in the garden for a bit? All the others are here, you wouldn't be alone. I'm not tired at all. Just got something on my mind.
Well, I suppose it can't hurt. Let me give it a try. Pater Mater!
Hey, what's up? Sup, boy?
I knew you'd come. Pater Mater, switch to standby mode. Right, that's that.
Ren learned the Pater Mater S-Craft. Nice. Yes, please. Ren?
What? And why do you all look so surprised? This world can be directly influenced by people's thoughts. We've established that much already. So why wouldn't Pater Mater come for me?
I'm just gonna bend this place to my fucking will with my brain. Because why wouldn't I be able to?
God, Ren is awesome.
Okay, so let's get Chloe in there. Chloe in there, change the support back to her. And then we're going to save. And then we're gonna go back to the stairs. Okay, boom. That boom, 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 I brought that way home. Way home. That boom, 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 I brought that way home. Ugh. Okay. Those who seek to enter this door must first overcome a trial. Should this fail to deter you, open the door and step inside. Open the door, please. Overcome travel for you and then she'll guarantee a memory fragment and my blessing. Yeah, sure. Oh, okay, so you got that, you got those. What do you guys do? Reflects arts used on. Okay, so no arts. That is fine. That is fine. Crap. Actually, I'll just do this. That with the sphere. Boom. Okay, cool. Love it. Craft. Way. Art. Earth wall. Cast 3 is insane. Cast 3 is awesome. The fact that he can cast that fast enough to really just have it be like always up is awesome. Or yeah, spear. There we go. Phantom Raid. Art. Dust. World Shaker. Oh no! You took off my protective shell.
Well,
Go.
that takes care of
Didn't
that.
even take a hit. Now, of course, I probably am doing this a bit late, which is why I was able to one-shot everything, but hey, don't worry about it. Go overcome the trap. Thus I shall grant you a memory fragment and my blessing. Oh, Phantom Thief B. An investigative report on Phantom Thief B, his crimes, his history, and his true identity. Imperial Chronicle Investigative Team. So this is actually, I'm presuming, something that I should have seen prior to doing the trivia door. Phantom Thief B has had quite the lengthy and productive career in thievery in the Empire, as the amount of records we have been able to find on his crimes proves beyond a doubt. From numerous paintings held in the Imperial Art Gallery, to a septium crystal held in the Empire's customs warehouse, to even a cutting-edge tank held in an Imperial Army research facility. Nothing is truly safe when he desires to steal it. His conquests aren't limited to inanimate objects.
he has been guilty of pretending to be a military officer and eloping with the wife of a marquis or a marquis on one reported occasion. Yet, and this is perhaps the most baffling part, there is no concrete evidence to suggest he has profited from his exploits. Rather, the objects stolen usually end up in places so bizarre, their owners are liable to faint upon hearing about them. In other cases, they are transformed into mira, which is then rained down from the sky in areas largely inhabited by those less fortunate. Hearing this, one might be led to think him a vigilante thief who takes from the rich and gives to the poor. But make no mistake, the truth is not so simple. The wife of the Marquis, discussed earlier, is a fine example of that. As of this writing, it has been a little over half a year since the elopement took place. Since then, she has remained unaccounted for. Many of the items stolen by him may return to the public eye in some fashion, but not all. Between his eccentric techniques and bizarre behavior regarding the objects he steals, it might appear as though his thefts are purely whims and nothing else. See, that makes me wonder if maybe the wife didn't want to actually go back to her husband, and therefore remained missing, quote-unquote. Upon studying the overall picture and reviewing the objects, and indeed people in play, you begin to see that they all have one specific thing in common. Take the artwork stolen from the Imperial Art Gallery, for example. Each of them were works of pure genius, painted by a master of their craft, but they gained a reputation for being too complex for the target audience of such works, the nobility, and were shamefully stored away instead of placed on display. Similar could be said of the Septium Crystal. Known for its unparalleled beauty, after being seized by customs, it was sealed away in the warehouse and doomed never to be admired by human eyes again. The tank, again, is one more example, with its promising development cut short. Rather than be put to good use, it was left collecting dust. As an aside, the case of the Marquis's wife does contain some striking similarities. Despite marrying her, he devoted most of his attention to his concubines and barely spared a thought for her. In conclusion, we can see now that the underlying motive for his actions is finding objects of beauty that have been abandoned by the world, and freeing them from their foolish owners. No matter how the world may see his crimes, his motive is clear. The truth of that is evident in the cards he leaves before committing his crimes. This is the so-called liberation of beauty mentioned upon each of them. Vanderbilt steals not for money, but for an ideal he believes in. And it is in this fact, we believe, are clues to his true identity. A number of valid theories have come about on the face behind our famed thief. Unfortunately, they are all as lacking in conclusive proof as they are numerous, and so it is impossible to say whether any of them are actually correct. To complicate matters further, we now even have deranged individuals coming forward pretending to be him and allowing themselves to be captured by law enforcement. That's not to say, however, that none of the theories circulating are at all plausible. However, we will introduce 3 such theories which have developed significant followings and may not turn out to be too far from the truth. Theory 1. Amorous con artist X. X's personal history. X is known for his exceptional skill as a con artist, having faked his own identity in order to engage in romantic relationships with many noblewomen. He was as handsome as he was capable, and he was exceptionally proud in nature as well. Born to a poor family in the temperate South, he became used to stealing in order to make ends meet from a young age. According to a testimony from a companion of his at the time, he was never once caught for such thefts. The reason X converted from being a common thief to a con artist is believed to have stemmed from falling in love with a noblewoman of much higher social standing than he. The rule of the aristocracy was absolute in the country he called home, and blessed romances between those of different classes unthinkable. With that in mind, he resolved to create a false identity in order to make his dream possible. Following his first rousing success, he came to do the same on a myriad of other occasions, indulging in one forbidden affair after another. Leblanc gave a clue to which theory is the right one. Oh, he did? Okay, I'll have to see if I can remember it after I see all 3 theories. It was a mere 10 years ago that he was arrested on suspicion of identity fraud, but he performed a miraculous escape from prison. Ever since then, his whereabouts have remained unknown. Thoughts? Both thanks to the skills of the thief and his interest in forbidden romances with noblewomen sound remarkably like what we know a fan of Thief B. Also worth knowing is that despite his abilities of deception to court those of vast wealth, he displayed virtually no interest in their fortunes. That is to say, he gained no financial benefit from his actions whatsoever. Instead, he simply lamented that he was unable to indulge in them because of something as trivial as his social class. He concluded that this attitude bears a striking resemblance to the thief's own views on beauty. Theory 2. Tragic artist Y. Y's personal history. Y was an artist with a rather tragic past. Born to a middle-class family in the North, he was hired by an influential aristocrat to be their personal artist, producing many a stunning piece of work. However, it was later discovered that wasn't all he produced. On the contrary, he was also responsible for a number of counterfeit pieces. The one who hired him sought to profit through ill means thanks to his work, and so he created such counterfeits under the noble's instruction. One day, however, Y suddenly left the noble's service. The reason remains unknown. This is where his tragedy begins. Immediately after leaving his clan behind, Y received a terrible piece of news. His lover, the daughter of a respected family, had been killed in a traffic accident. While there is no evidence to prove as much, it is rumored that the noble may have had a hand in her death. Y was only spotted once more at his lover's grave before forever disappearing from the public eye. Those who knew his story, he became known as the truly tragic artist. Several years later, the noble was murdered. Thoughts? The story of Y still has several unsolved mysteries surrounding it and has invited much speculation, both of which have likely led to the theory that he and Vanity B are one the same. Those aren't the only reasons, actually. Vanity B has been known at times to try and dispose of counterfeits, believing them to be false beauty. This has led some to believe that Vanity B may be attempting to get rid of the world of counterfeits that he himself created. Lending further credibility to this discovery, leading to this is the discovery that the forgeries disposed of by Vanity B were indeed the works of Y. Could swear. Either I'm hearing the vibrations of like a phone in an apartment above me, or I'm just imagining. Both of which are very possible. Guild martial artist Z. Dragon Ball Z. Z's personal history. The story of Z is significantly different from the other two potential identities we have proposed here, making this an unusual, but still plausible, possibility. Z was born in the Far East as the son of a famed military family. He was an attractive, delicately built young man, but he was far more skilled at martial arts than his friend was suggested, being blessed with great natural talent. He is also said to possess a keen, sharp mind, and there was a mild air of arrogance about him too. Z was indeed blessed in nearly every way. He came from an important family, he had skill, he had looks, and as a result he came to feel bored with the world around him. He hardly kept such thoughts to himself. In fact, he often voiced his complaints to anyone within earshot. These complaints persisted until one day he simply disappeared, telling no one where he was going and leaving nothing to suggest his next destination. Thoughts? Much of this theory is based on the idea of geniuses being eccentric by nature. There are some who say that the fighting style of Z has some resemblance to the peculiar skills used by Vanity B, but in terms of credibility, this theory is barely a cut above many other similarly unusual suggestions. Still, the idea that the man beneath the mask is one from the East is certainly an interesting and exciting one, leading many to wish it were true, even if they find themselves doubting it actually is. Okay, interesting. I mean, I'm presuming the first one is probably the one that he alludes to it being right, because that one definitely, as far as I saw or read, took away from it. It seemed like probably the closest one to what I would imagine. That brings us to the end of outlining three very different theories. Could X, Y, or Z be the true identity of our famed fan thief? Or is the truth perhaps something else entirely? The only way we will know for sure is to hear the truth from the man himself. Of course, whether we can trust anything he says is a discussion for another time. Postscript. After this article was first published, we received a card believed to be from Vanity B himself to our office. The contents of the cards are as follows. The truth of my identity is already within your grasp. My number reveals all. Judging by this, it is believed that one of the three theories proposed is the true identity of Phantom Thief B. His number reveals all. What enforcer number is he? I forget. Is he 7 or 8? That said, uncovering the or is he 10? Right? Because it's XYZ, so it's either 10, 11, or 12. Or if we're presuming X is X, Roman numeral 10, and then Y would have to be the one after it, and Z the one after that, and not basically 26, 25, 24. Is that... Because I don't think... Because there's what? Only like... How many enforcers are there? Like 18 max? Can't quite remember. Yeah, will one valued reader be able to step forward and solve what we cannot? Only time will tell. Fan Thief B report finished. Nice. Fan Thief's cape. No. Check that out. Okay. Whip. Oh. So it seems like when you have a party member, like, 'cause that happened with Rias from the other one. So it seems like there's a strong possibility that, like, whatever in the game's code makes it so sometimes if you have a single party member and they leave, and they would be in that first slot. The next time you go into the menu, they'll still be there, even if Kevin's in the first slot. Okay, so agility plus 20, move plus 3, drop rate up. Okay, so if you're grinding out like items, that's probably a good idea to have on, but I don't care. Okay, so let's so moons 1 through 5, so still need to start at 12, 13, 14. Okay, so Repenting Patriot, obviously we know who that is. It's gonna be Richard. Nope. Yeah, you know what? Doesn't really matter.
Inadequate performance.
Inadequate performance. It's almost 9, but you know what? I can go for a little bit longer tonight because the thing is, I don't want 3. I think this would be my 3rd. Actually, how many streams have I done that are just doors? I think this is my 3rd one. Like, I don't want 4 streams of just doors, so I want to get through. I want to get through another one at least, because then there's the 400 battles one, which may or may not be quick. So I might be able to get through that one as well. Door. I shall grant you a memory fragment and my blessing. It's Ruan! RNA research. RNA research, Ruan office. Oh my, look at all of this. Hope it'll prove useful. I see, you sure found out a lot. With this many potential sales routes, I've got nothing to fear. I'll be able to make my move into the Airborne capital as soon as I'm ready with this kind of information. You have to investigate the current situation with regards to Orban sales in Airborne. Dude, he looks like such a businessman. So I started my investigation around stores in the region itself. And you did a fantastic job too. Still, the problem of transport remains. After all, old Borden's got his grubby hands all over the international liners already. It's true that the Borden family has a preferential access to 40% of the load capacity of the international airlines, leaving liberal for Airborne. However, they are no longer the only available option. There are no private carriers as well. There are some supplementary materials regarding the issue. Well, you certainly come prepared, don't you? Well, this request ended up taking a little longer than originally anticipated, because there's a little extra on us in exchange. I like those who think 2 steps ahead. You sure don't want to come and work for me? I'd pay you handsomely. I'm certainly flattered you think highly enough of my skills to offer. I'm not sure I have what it takes to be successful in the cutthroat world of business, though. I'm a rather timid man, you see. Oh, no, you can't fool me. Oh well, do keep my offer in mind, if you would. Colonel Richard, with the voice of Sesshomaru, Charles Xavier, Jin Kisaragi, and everyone's loving heroic spirit. Gilgamesh. Okay. Is that the Japanese dub or this one? Because I don't know the I don't know the English voice actor by name. Because the thing is, right? Sesshomaru, that's from Inuyasha. I didn't really watch that one growing up. Charles Xavier, I remember watching the X-Men show when I was younger, but don't quite remember it. David Kao. Okay. Jin Kisaragi. Jin. Oh, I feel like I know that one. And everyone's loving her to Gilgamesh. Yeah. Fate. Jin Kisaragi. What? Jin. Is Jin Kisaragi one of the guys from Bleach? Kisaragi from Blaze Blue. Oh, that's it. He's the blonde guy from there. Since I have you here, maybe I should give you one more thing to look into. I already had Simon get started, but I'm not sure he's up to the task. Be happy to help if I can. This be another request to research a foreign market? It certainly will. Oh, look what you got over there. Perfect. It's a map. This place right here. Word State. Oh, yeah. That's an unusual choice. It's quite a small place. That just makes it easier to seize a majority in the market. Small as it is, isn't accessible by airliner. What market there may be there is all but free for the taking right now. So he wants to research the potential size of the market there, in other words. Will he focus entirely on the orbit market or broaden the scope of our investigation and look into market in general? Market in general. You think you can do it? Waste the use. I'll get in touch with one of our staff members stationed near the state right away and begin weighing options. That's what I wanted to hear. I'll be back here next week anyway. We can discuss the details then. Ta-ta! Until then, take care. See you. We love business, ladies. Red's quite a far inland. Weren't the Reens brothers in that general area of the continent? Yes, they are. I'll get in contact with them later. Thank you. She's not a merchant of bows for nothing, is she? That was coming with such interesting, ambitious requests. She's not half as ambitious as you are. I think you may be overestimating me a little there. Well, can you show our next visitor in? Certainly. Hello there, Alan. Sorry for dropping in on you again. Just wanted to get your input on another little something regarding the city's finances. Oh, that won't be a bother at all. Please, take a seat. I like seeing Richard in the non-military activities that he's doing and just being like a competent business guy. So what exactly can I help you with today? All seems to be going rather well with this business now, don't you think? Indeed. Although I admit it's taken me time to adjust to my days being so peaceful, I do miss having a sense of tension in my life. That's something you'll just have to live with, I'm afraid. We're civilians now, not soldiers. That's true enough. In any case, it's an honor to be able to live and work with you in the city where you were born, Your Excellency. Kanone. I really would prefer if you addressed me as Sir now. My apologies, sir. There's no need to apologize. I'm not a colonel. No, I think we should probably go inside. I'm not sure I like the look of the sky. Fuck you, sky! Couldn't be. Sir? Something the matter? No, it's nothing of importance. I just noticed that we seem to have mistakenly received another letter intended for the mayor. It's understandable that it keeps happening given that this building was previously his, but it's a tad troublesome nonetheless. I suppose I better go and deliver it to him. Could be something important. Now, sir? Couldn't it wait? It seems like it's going to start raining any minute. It's not too far. Even if it does start raining, I won't be exposed to it for long. Can I ask you to handle the regular reports in the meantime? Yes, of course. And if I come back, I'll be dripping wet, and you'll love that, won't you? You thirsty bitch. Ugh. There's no mistaking it. That letter was sealed in a special way we used in the intelligence division. The letter itself is a meaningless decoy. The real message is concealed in how the envelope itself is sealed. It means, come to the landing port. Someone from the intelligence division is calling me in hopes of speaking to me. Most likely because they bear a deep-seated resentment towards me and what I did to them. And I have a duty to go and see them. After all, I was their commander. I was the one who pushed their life off the rails and ruined their future. I've been waiting for you. So it was you, Sender? Indeed, it's good to see you again, Colonel. Pleased to see you're still well. I'm not Colonel anymore, Sender. I feel as though saying as much has become a hobby. No one around me seems too willing to correct themselves. Oh, I'm aware, but today I intend to address you as Colonel nonetheless. I called you here because I have something I need to ask you. Hope you can forgive me for forcing you to come out here with the weather so poor. If I can answer your question, I will. If you feel as you need to hold back on my account. Can't accept something in the answer I give you, by all means say so. Then I'll get straight to the point. Why'd you leave the army behind, Colonel? What happened to your love for your country? Thundercrack. I see you, at least returned to the military. I was glad to see that in truth. You're always an exceptionally capable soldier, even back in the military academy. You hadn't had the misfortune of meeting me. If you hadn't had the misfortune of being caught up in my foolishness, you would probably be a field officer by now. I'm truly sorry about what I did to you. Please don't get me wrong, Colonel. I don't in any way blame you or harbor resentment for what you did. You thought about what was best for this country more than anyone else. Your patriotism was genuine and heartfelt. I don't regret following you at all. More that I could. It's certainly true that doing so has become a significant obstacle in my chances of promotion, but I couldn't care less about that. As long as I can continue to serve in the military, serve the country I love with all my heart, I am happy. Know that I harbor no ill feelings toward you regarding the past. But, what are you doing now? You used to worry for this country's future more than any of us. You cared for it more than any other. Yet instead of picking yourself up and trying to work for your nation again, you left the army behind. Now you're running some sort of company that deals with the rich? Just what happened to your patriotism? I beg of you, return to the military. You're a capable man. Those skills of yours would be a valuable asset to the force, and it's where you should be using them. I'm sorry, Sender. I cannot ever return to the army again. Why? Why, Colonel? You've prepared more than enough for your actions. Both General Morgan and Brigadier General Bright actively desire your return. I and all of the other soldiers in my position would be overjoyed to have you in our ranks again. So why? Why do you look at me with that sad expression and tell me that it's not possible? Why would you apologize to me? Make no mistake, Sender. I haven't abandoned my love for my country. It burns as brightly in my heart as it ever did. But what I did was truly terrible. I organized a coup d'etat, destabilizing this nation and disrupting the lives of countless people. Thanks to the help of all those around me, I was able to realize what a foolish mistake I made. And yet in my heart, I feel exactly the same way I always did. I'm not sure what you mean. In spite of all that happened, my love for my country is unchanged. I still feel the blind desire to do anything I can to aid Liberal, no matter how reckless or dangerous it may be. I'm the same man I was when I plotted that coup d'etat. Not a thing has changed. That thought, Sender, terrifies me. Then, you didn't leave the military because you had lost your love for your country. You're saying that you left it because you still love your country? Forgive me. I have no right to be making excuses to you and trying to justify myself. Not after I dragged all of you down with me and ruined your lives forever. I truly am sorry for what I did to you and all of the other members of the division. No, you... Please don't misunderstand. I didn't leave the army in an attempt to run from my own weakness. Nor did I leave it because I was ashamed of the treatment I have received for my actions. After what happened, I thought long and hard about what I should have done instead of what I did. Trying to work out where I'd gone wrong. As I did that, I noticed something. Something vitally important that I had failed to realize up until that point. After setting up the intelligence division, I began gathering information and using it to protect Liberal. Yet thinking about it now, I didn't know the first thing about the nature of information at the time. Information isn't something that exists alone. It only exists when people use it and see it as something of worth. Furthermore, the value of that information can change radically depending on the position and perspective of those who look at it. I can't help but wonder if overlooking this simple fact was what caused my patriotism to start to become more of a force for harm than good. Somewhere along the line, I started to believe that only information I saw as valuable was of any importance. And as a result, I ended up wanting power in order to compensate for the weakness of my own heart. Thinking back, I think what I really needed was a different perspective through which to view information. One separate from the military. One that doesn't see a country or people's way of life as a system, or as numbers and absolutes. I needed to be collecting information that was disadvantageous to Liberal too, rather than cast it all aside. I needed to view us and the surrounding nations in a variety of lights, while collecting a wide variety of information from a freer perspective. So you believe the company you're running now is capable of doing that? Yes, I do. Can't say for sure that this will allow me to avoid repeating my past mistakes. Perhaps there was something more important that I should have been doing before giving thought to any of this to begin with. But in the end, I came to the conclusion that Liberal needs a fresh perspective, and I then resolved to leave the army. If it needs a means to gather intel, it can make another intelligence division. That is for the Brigadier General Bright to worry about, not me. Still, the civilian population has no such group or organization. It's never had one. I doubt anyone in the civilian world has ever thought to create one in order to gather and accurately analyze information either. That was why I, as a civilian like every other, chose to establish RNA research, believing that I am the right person to be the first to do so. You truly don't have any intention of returning to the military, do you? If I said there wasn't a part of me that longed to return to my days of active service, I would be lying. But I'm hoping that through this, I will be able to become another eye by which to support this nation. And I see my current occupation as a new way to show my love for my country. I wonder if that makes any sense. You're a coward. No doubt every word you're saying is objectively correct. That's how you've always been. There's never been room for rebuttal in your arguments. But Colonel, you're also no longer the man who swore to forge this kingdom's future with his own 2 hands. Goodbye, Colonel. We will never meet again. That's not true. That's not true at all, Sender. I've chosen the path I now walk, believing it to be right, certainly. But even I don't know for sure if what I'm doing is correct. Even now, I'm terrified of the possibility that I might be making the wrong choice. I worry that the road I walk might be the making of yet another grave mistake. I just don't have the same power that Brigadier General Bright does. I really am hopeless. Sir? You didn't have to come out here in the rain. If you return to the office, you'll catch a cold staying out here much longer. No, I'm sure he's just having trouble coming to terms with his new life, too. You just can't forget the fervent enthusiasm of the Intelligence Division, as if he doesn't feel like he belongs in the world that's come after it. The day will eventually come when he will be able to understand what you said. That's exactly what happened to me, you know? True enough, I suppose. You're right. Shall we be going then, Kanone? Yes, sir. Yeah, like the fear, right? You make one mistake and think you're doing the right thing, but the fear that you might just be doing it again will always be there. Like, did I really grow as a person? Did I grow beyond the man or woman that made the previous mistake? And that lingering doubt will always be there. You can only prove it by, not making the mistake again. But the future is never certain, so it's always an earworm. I wasn't expecting to end up quite this soaked. Are you alright? I'm fine, don't worry about me. This actually brings back fond memories of the survival training I underwent back at the academy. I do think you should go and get changed into some dry clothes, though, sir. A little rain never hurt anyone. I don't believe I was half bad at my own survival training, you know? Even then. An encrypted call. Dylan's did mention that he had some information of interest in his report earlier. Perhaps this relates to that. Sounds possible. Which would mean that something has happened over in the Republic. Yes, it's me. Can you please stop calling me that? Yes, that's right. Yes? Yes. In the Eastern Quarter? We don't have anyone there yet, thinking about it. Alright, I'll look into it as best I can. Right. You be careful too. Has something happened? Another Jaeger Corps has entered the Eastern Quarter. A sizable one too. The Red Constellation. That's gonna pop up in a future game. Really? There seems to be a rather lot of activity on the Jaeger front of late. Their arrival makes it very likely that the power struggle there will begin to worsen too. I doubt the old Intelligence Division network is going to be sufficient to fully stay on top of the situation. I think I may have to head there personally. Okay. So he presumably gets on an airliner and that's where he's pulled from. I still have doubts about what I'm doing. Nothing about my love for my country has changed. Nothing at all. So it's even possible for me to find and walk the right path this time. It's truly possible for any mortal to forge the correct path through life. I don't know. But all I can do is try to follow the path I believe to be right in hopes that I'm not mistaken. Believing in those who have supported me and worked to right my wrongs. Sir? Is something wrong, sir? Oh, you're here, Kanone. I did tell you that you didn't need to come and see me off, you know? You did, but I'm afraid that simply won't do. Seeing off their superiors is the duty of a subordinate. Perhaps in the military, but that is no longer the world we live in. There's no need to act like a soldier anymore. Oh, one more thing. Please do take good care of the things in the office while I'm gone. I think the odds of any large requests you'll folks struggle to handle without me coming in are fairly low at least, but leave everything to me, sir. I'll be sure to handle every request that comes in with care and kindness. I'm well aware you always look forward to taking on small requests too, so they will be given the same high standard of service as any other. You know me too well. Okay. Caw, scree, bitch. Sieg? What on earth is Julia's bird doing here? Scree. Didn't you just sell His Excellency's arm as if it's your own personal property? Glare. Scree? Jealous of a bird. Please, Kanone, there's no need to glare at him like that. Also, please stop calling me Your Excellency. Scree, scree. And then notice there was no touch to Sieg's leg. What's this? It's addressed to me. Scree, scree. Took my from Sieg's leg. This looks like a letter from HQ. As in military HQ? Why is the Royal Guards carrier if I can bring a message to you? Who knows, this try is a real slave driver, though. Thank you for delivering this, Sieg. And I know that I accept his request. Scree. Sir, was that? See for yourself. Best of luck with your little trip. We'd like to know what the Red Constellation is up to, too, so we'd appreciate you looking into it for us on the side. Honestly. Hope you don't think this information is going to come cheap, Brigadier General. Okay, so I wonder if Colonel Rich is a person you talk to in the Crossbell games. Because Red Constellation shows up in those games. Covert. 10,000 meters. Nice. Okay, so... Any idea how long this door takes, the 400 battles door, in terms of story? What's covert? Combines the effects of haze and information. Haze and heal, okay. So haze and information. Does anyone have information on them? No, I think I usually have Joshua. Let's save. You know, screw it. Only those who have struggled through countless battles are worthy of entering here. Only upon finishing the 400 battle will this door be opened. Yeah, sure. Screw it, I'll do this one and then I'll leave the last door to be done next stream. So that'll leave one remaining door after that one, like the final door, and then it will leave the final arena once I get whatever item is necessary to be able to access that level. Oop, okay. Report on the attack on Erebonia's Bracer Guilds. Oh, okay, so this is referenced in Cold Steel. In September calendar 1202, many of the branches of the Bracer Guild in Erebonia came under attack in quick succession. The perpetrators were an armed group, all else about them was unknown. The guild, along with all connected to it in the nation, fell into a state of confusion. For a long year, the communication network in the capital was rife with calls and messages. The situation grew increasingly grave. Intelligence Division's first subdivision, 2 General Staff Office. At dawn yesterday, Capital's guild houses were completely destroyed by powerful explosives. In the 2nd Division subdivision's analysis, the explosives were likely set directly below those buildings in the city's underground waterways. Judging by explosives used and means employed, this is the work of professionals, currently working to confirm the location to potentially dangerous persons within the country. Wasn't, I feel like there was a information or a side or something where it was like Osborne or whatever hired Jaegers to attack the Bracer things, to make them seem not competent, so he could kind of push them out and prevent Bracer activity in the country. I can't remember if that's exactly the case. It may have been nobles or something. I feel like Fee referenced being like, oh yeah, like I did that, or like, or something, or like I remember something like that. In Division, third subdivision to a first subdivision, a Jaeger member has been found among those suspected of entering the country illegally. Currently responsible for logistics in the Jester Jaeger Corps, keeping an eye on other members of the same corps in the country. From Airborne Embracer Guild, the Liberally Embracer Guild, Grand Cell Branch. Dawn today, the guild as in Heimdall came under attack. We are unable to contact bracers charged with overseeing them. We request the aid of high-ranking bracers. This is urgent. We repeat, this is urgent. Intelligence Division, First Subdivision to General Staff Office. First Guild here in Airborne has sent a message to the Guild's Grand Cell Branch. Talking about the content of the message, at least one high-ranking bracer will be entering Airborne in the coming days. We request that they be pursued and put under strict surveillance upon arrival. 2 days after the assaults began, Cassius Bright, S rank, arrived in the Imperial capital. He assumed the post of provisional representative of the Airbonian Guild. He ordered to assess the damage to the guilds and call for the bracers assigned to them, who had become scattered in the chaos, to reconvene outside the city. He also ordered a halt to all orbital communication to prevent interception by the enemy. By this point, guilds in 6 cities had been attacked, and the Bracer Guild in Ereboni was beginning to struggle to function. The branches that had not yet been attacked requested the army's protection. However, they seemed to be in no hurry to grant their support, making it clear that they could not be counted upon. Meanwhile, the provisional representative was able to estimate the rough location of the enemy supply base from their movements up to that point. Fee was part of the Zephyr Corps. She wasn't part of the one that attacked the guilds and everybody. Okay. Yeah, Yeah, me saying the comment where Fee did it. Yeah, no. I feel like I'm remembering her mention. She may have been the one that mentioned, or her Sarah mentioned, that Jaegers were the ones that attacked the guild. That was probably me falsely attributing the two things. Is it ever revealed who, like, got the Jaegers to do it? Like, was it confirmed that it was, like, Osborne or the nobles? And after choosing a small number of bracers who were familiar with the area, he sent them to try and find it. The reason for going with this approach was that he had concluded the enemy would have to build a supply base inside the country because of how strict Airboni's border controls are. It did not take long for us to lose the battle but win the war strategy to produce results. Intelligence Business First Zone, General Staff, the bracers sent by Liberals Guild is confirmed to be one Cassius Bright. Bryce Necessary Brain Crew's file in our subdivision has him rated at L4 threat, the second highest level possible. Jesus, only second? He's also the man believed to have commanded the counteroffensive against the Imperial Army during the 100 Days War. He may potentially pose a threat to national security, so he is being carefully watched. And he knows he's being watched, too. First Subdivision General Staff, attempt to track CB failed, current whereabouts are unknown. However, as regards by HQ, we have not raised the alert level and have left it as it stands. Several bases are currently traveling aboard a train. We believe them to be taking part in some kind of operation. Subdivision General Staff, 6 bracers assaulted the Jaeger's base. The Jaegers inside the base were apprehended. We have identified to be members of the Jester Jaeger Corps. Underestimated him, yeah. Right, it's just like, okay, we're pursuing him. We lost him immediately. Fuck. So the enemy's base revealed that it was the Jaeger Corps known as Jester who was behind the attacks. After this, however, the Jaeger's movements became much more passive. Two sides entered in deadlock. Stalemate continued for roughly 2 months. During this time, the guild's representative made contact with the intelligence division. Began preparing for an operation that would ultimately allow him to bring the trouble to an end. Intelligence Researcher, General Staff, CB has made contact with a member of our subdivision, currently in the process of confirming. First 7, General Staff, target CBS proposed to join operation, planning to meet him again at the specified date and time. Strategic analysis of the Bracer Guild attack intelligence subdivision, but eventually broke the deadlock was a brilliant strategy devised by CB. Having successfully made contact with a member of the other subdivision, we made them send a message to HQ in hopes that it would be intercepted by the enemy. What happened was exactly that. From the message, they were able to deduce the time and place the next meeting would happen, and set about plotting his assassination. Exactly what CB hoped would happen. During the meeting, CB was also given said intelligence and code message. It contained detailed plans for an operation in which the Imperial Army would defeat the Jaegers after they had been lured out by false information. General Staff Office chose to go ahead with the proposed plan, and after a joint operation with the Bracer Guild, the Jaegers who had gathered to assassinate CB were surrounded and forced to surrender. Furthermore, the remnants of their forces who were in other bases were also defeated after the initial prisoners gave up their locations. Several months after the trouble began, Jester was completely dismantled. Subdivision, General Staff, raising the threat level of Cassius Bright, S rank, effective immediately. He is too good. Henceforth, he will be registered as an L5 threat. He poses a severe threat to national security and must be placed in strict surveillance if he ever enters the country again. I like that. It's like, we put him at second highest, and then we met him for like 5 minutes. And we're like, oh shit, we underestimated him. Back up. Maximum. General Staff, confirmed the surveillance target left the country today. His departure was at that instant. Handing control over the mission over to our foreign agencies. Transmission over. GSO Special Investigative Department, His Excellency to the Imperial Chancellor. We have a confirmed CB's departure. We shall continue to pursue him, but he has not shown any suspicious behaviors to date. It was Ouroboros? Okay, specifically Weissman. Ah, okay, nice. He orchestrated the attacks on airborne guilds to lure Oh yeah, because that's what kept him out of there for a while. Okay, that's what Cassie wasn't there during much. Okay, that's it. Okay, see, I had remembered that Weissman had done some whatever. He had done plans to keep Cassius busy outside, to keep him out of Liberal, but those two things weren't connected in my brain. Okay, thank you very much, Ninja. That's great. Okay. Continue pursuing, but he's not showing any suspicious behavior today. We have yet to confirm any interactions between him and the minstrel. We'll continue to follow their movement. Okay, so even from that point, Osborne was like, yo, Olivier's trying to do some shit. Has he talked to the one of the biggest threats that we have registered to our nation? Okay, I like that. Assault on the Imperial Guilds finished. Okay. Perfect. That was pretty sure. Jagdharmer. It's Jagd. It's Jagd. Okay, so let's Star Door, this is only when you have released all other doors. Okay, so let's go to the base. Now I want to check out what my people are doing. You get out of here, go back to Joshua, because Joshua's awesome with his frickin' S-Craft and shit. Okay, so you got Dragon Chi jumpsuit. What? You're Kevin. Dragon Chi jumpsuit, Gargan armor, Gargan armor, Gargan armor. Okay, Dragon Chi jumpsuit, Jagd. Okay, that's pretty significant upgrade. 100 makes ADF go down, Dex go down. I like him with Dex because I use his physical a lot. Jug armor. Dex goes a little bit down, but not nearly as much. Defense up might be worth it. That's only one. Nope. Nope. You. Nope. Yeah, I'll put that on him for right now, because his Dex is not nearly as important. Although, isn't agility kind of like the equivalent speed stat in this game? Oh, whatever. Yeah. Yeah, because what is it? Agility that affects turn order more? Because I definitely want him to be going quicker. I'm not sure if it's worth it for strength boost. Actually, the defense boost is pretty significant. I was actually looking at attack when I was looking at all the things. Yeah, so actually this armor only increases attack on people. Speed effects, turn order, agility isn't favored. Oh, okay. Okay, so perfect. So it's pretty significantly boosting defense. Tactics, you guys are doing that, having fun doing all your fun stuff. Okay. So now here. Ooh, there we go. Okay, and we are going to save. There we go, and we are going to exit to the title because this is where in the stream. Next time I play this game, which will probably be on Monday, I will do that final door and then move on with the story, finally. And next time I won't accidentally have the game set as Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, which I will also be playing next week, presumably on Wednesday, most likely. and I will have a proper name instead of a ramshackle one of just Mordor's. But that was a mistake on my part, and thank you, Ninja, for telling me about that, because, it's always embarrassing when I get caught with my pants down like that and be like, oh god, forgot to do the one thing that I needed to do. Hey, thank you for the follow, my bud. Thanks for being a buddy. Let's put some dabs in the chat for that. The Laura dab emote is specifically referring to one comic of Laura, like, trying to be hip, being like, you will get along like 2 yeets and a dab. And she doesn't really, I don't think she dabs, but I like that quote. And I was like, oh, dabbing Laura. Okay, cool. We'll go with it. But, with that, I'm going to end the stream now. Tomorrow, I will, win again. Okay. Tomorrow, I will be streaming, Dark Souls 3 Duolingo. Where, if I die in Dark Souls 3, I do a Duolingo module, so I hope if anyone's interested in that, you'll join me then. Other than that, I hope you all have a very nice night, and we'll drop by later. Bye!